Now we are. There we go. Hey, welcome everybody. It's this should start live streaming any second, and of course, since we've never done this before, we've already started with technical issues. But we have an exciting day planned. Just bear with us while we work through all this stuff. The first thing I want to talk about real quick is the fact that we're doing this as a way to bring our oil and gas podcasting community together. All the other relevant oil and gas podcasts out there in the world, we're all one big family. And this year, 2020, has been one heck of a year. I don't know about you, Warren, but I could literally have a UFO land in my backyard tonight, and I could go, eh.
It's pretty much nonstop surprises, isn't it?
It's just been crazy. And so this is what we're using now to actually communicate not only with our audiences, and not only with our sponsors, not only with our vendor partners, but with literally the entire world of oil and gas podcasting and podcasting in general. And so this whole community is something that we've brought together. We're going to spend the next couple of hours going through different facets of it. But one of the most important things to all of us is our ability to give back. And here at OGGN, we take it very seriously on giving back. So we're getting ready to have Ali join us with Women's Offshore. She should be popping in any minute. And just there she goes.
Hi.
Hey, Ali, how you doing?
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you too. And apologies, we had some technical issues, but we're working through it. And so real quick, Ali, as part of our way of giving back, we've figured out that you and I and the OGGN team and your nonprofit have a lot of things in common. So we got a couple of announcements. But before we get there, I want you to real quick, can you explain about the mission of Women Offshore?
Yes, so Women Offshore is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we support the careers of female seafarers around the world. These seafarers work in the maritime and offshore energy industries on all types of vessels. I sailed for 10 years on drill ships, dive support vessels, and even cruise ships. And women only make up a small percentage of these seagoing careers. So we provide resources, we have a podcast even, and just try to connect women as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, podcast is a perfect segue. So I want to announce that Oil and Gas Global Network is acquiring the Women's Offshore podcast. The Women's Offshore Foundation will be the recipient of what we generate working with Ali. So now Ali is part of an OGGN family. And Ali, we have a $1,000 check that OGGN is writing to your foundation as a way for us to help you get back. But welcome to the family.
Thanks so much. It's an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to work with you more.
Yeah. And we can't wait to work with you either. Your values and your quality of your shows just mesh perfectly with what we're doing. So it just made more sense for us to come together. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to introduce my entire team. You know, you see the faces of the company. You see the podcast host. You see me and Warren. We're just the front people. We have this whole back end group of people that don't always get in the limelight that really make this company run, that really make us shine. So Ali, if you can drop off real quick to make space, I want to start introducing my team. So Russ, if you can start letting the OGGN team in, that would be awesome.
And that's something I want to tell everyone who's watching. So we have Russ Johns on the back of this thing. We've never done this before. We're exploring new areas. So, oh, look at that. We're live. Paige Wilson, Savannah Wilson. All right, I'm stepping back.
Yep, let's stick to the time. So, Paige, you first. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Paige Wilson. I'm part of the core team here at OGGN, as well as the training director. I'm also the host of Oil and Gas Industry Leaders and co-host of Oil and Gas This Week, which is very new to me. So,
yeah. So, Paige, if you can drop off so we can keep making room. Savannah.
Hey, I'm Savannah Wilson, and I just recently started as admin assistant. And I also recently graduated as class of 2020 out of high school from Klein Oak. And I'm really excited to be here. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, we love having you on here, and you've made life so much easier for all of us. Can you drop off so we can keep letting people come in? Alex, you're muted.
Of course.
Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. I would have started talking. Hey, everybody, I'm Alex. I do OGGN social media and marketing. I'm under Tim. And yeah, I basically just do the social media, send out MailChimp campaigns, and that's kind of my gig.
Awesome. So Alex, can you drop so we can keep letting people in?
Yeah.
Emin.
Hi.
So great to see you.
Me too. Hi.
What time is it there?
It's right now 10 p.m.
10 p.m. So real
Yep.
quick, introduce yourself and what you do.
Hi guys, I'm Emin Fikic. I'm the podcast editor, audio editor for all the podcasts that OGGN runs.
Yeah. So audience, if you want to know why our podcast sounds so good, it's not us, it's Emin. He works the magic.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Can you drop so we can keep letting people in?
Yes, of course. Bye.
See ya. Catherine.
Hi.
Hi. What do you do?
I am y'all's producer, and the data person. So I sit there and make sure everything goes live and stays organized on the back end.
Yeah, and if you've noticed that our shows are now being published on a regular basis, that's not because we've gotten better. It's because we hired Catherine. She's a go-getter. So Catherine, can you drop so we can keep letting people in?
I sure can. Bye, guys.
Tim, what do you do?
What's going on, Mark? Good, man. Good. Just getting things all figured out here. It's our first event, so getting things smoothed out on the back end. But yeah, I'm Tim Taylor, VP of Marketing for OGGN, and super excited about the summit, and should be a good time. So
yeah, awesome. Tim is the whole reason that we're doing this. So I've had several big companies ask me if we hired an agency, and I go, no, we hired Tim. So good work, Tim. Can you drop so people can keep joining?
Yes, sir.
This is that technical silence. Kaleh, hi.
Hi.
So Kaleh, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Kaleh Desatel, and I'm the marketing intern.
Yeah. So Kaylee's the one that takes all of Tim's great ideas and actually makes them work. If you've seen some of the cool artwork that's going out and a lot of the other stuff, Kaleh has her hands hip deep in that. So Kaleh, thank you for joining us. Can you drop so the rest of the team can start joining?
Yes, I will.
This is when we should have some prearranged humorous comments, Warren.
Yay. I'm like right now I'm pulling up all of our list of our shows, so I'll be ready. Yeah, this is the interesting thing where if you're viewing it, you're saying like, where is everybody, right? But interestingly enough, we've got a whole slew of people on the back end that I'm so excited that we're moving as fast as we are. But yeah, we should have written some comedy right here. Yeah,
audience, if the reason there's a delay is we have a limit of number of people we can have in the back room and a limit of number of people we can have on. So Russ, we should be at, I don't know who else we need, the rest of our crew needs to join.
And some of what happens too is one of the things that we're doing that's kind of cutting edge is it's not like we have a back room full of 50 people in a waiting room. It's almost like some of what we're doing is coordinating people popping on to our live and then getting them in here. So very interesting that we've that we've been able to do this.
The problem is we've grown so big, both in size of our company and then our listeners. So, we're trying not to break the interwebs right here.
Yes. And, as I look at what we're going to accomplish here, how neat is it to think that we're going to have our hosts and the sponsors together, and be able to show that gratitude? Because one of the things about OGGN that to me is one of the most incredible things is that when you started this thing, it was like you have real companies that are wanting to be a part of this. They're creating conversation, they're affecting the community. And then we have hosts that are going out and they're hustling, right? They're trying to find stories that make a difference in everything that's going on in oil and gas. And that's what we see. So,
hey, it looks like I got a note from Russ that for some reason, the rest of the team hasn't been able to join us. Not sure where everybody is, but I think just for the audience to understand, we literally have 14 people. And I think we went through 7. Justin Gaither's on, Russ. Hey, Justin.
There we go. How's it going? I'm Peter.
How you doing?
Good.
So real quick, introduce yourself and what do you do?
Yeah, so Justin Gauthier, and I'm head of janitorial services, which includes everything from mopping the bathrooms to keeping microphones clean. So glad I could be of service. No, I'm just kidding. Host of Oil and Gas Onshore.
Yeah. Yeah. We may have a janitorial spot open up pretty soon.
Hey, you know what? I'll probably submit my resume because the way things are going, you just never know.
Yeah. So Justin, can you drop so we can keep getting the rest of the team on?
Yeah. Do I leave studio? Is that what I do? I don't want to miss anything. Probably so. Okay. Hold on.
Mark, it's how cool is that? Like we're learning as we go. It's working.
It is working. We still got a few minutes for a couple more of our team join. Let me I don't know where anybody else is.
I almost want to tell the team it's almost like you have to click the link to come back in. So even if it says like the room is full, I know we have quite a few of you. When you click it, it'll bring you back in. Russ will find you, and then he'll pop you on to our live event.
And you know what? If we can't get more of our team on, we'll just move to part 2. We'll give it another minute. So who's next? We're still missing Ethan, Russell, and I believe Andy.
Sean McCoy. Sean McCoy messaged me. You know, I'm really excited about Sean's show, by the way, Mark. It's like
well, don't spoil it. We're going to announce it a little bit later.
Okay, yeah. Hush. I'm going to text Sean right now. I'm going to say, try to click it again.
Yeah, you know what? It looks like nobody else is in the room from our end, so we're just going to roll with the punches. Let's just go ahead and move over to the next section. And so the next section is really us talking about our sponsors, our host, and the power of this movement that we've built. And so, you know, Russ, if you can start letting the host and the sponsors in the back room so we can get through this. And then Warren, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm getting ready to hand it over to you, and I'm going to drop off. So Warren is the MC of this podcast summit. I will still stay around in case he needs me. But Warren, real quick, we didn't introduce you. Yeah, did we?
I don't know if we did. You know, I've been high on life right now because once we went live, I was going like, let's try not to step on a landmine.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and bow out, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and MC, and then I'm gonna drop back in when I need to.
All right.
So I will
so
a bit later.
All right, Mark. Thank you. So everybody, my name is Warren Spiewak. I'm the MC for today. We're trying to do something cutting edge. I'm here with Jason Duff. Jason Duff is straight from IBM. We know that I'm hoping Paige will hop on here. But while we're waiting for Paige, Jason, talk to me a little bit about your sponsorship of OGGN. Tell me about your point of view of everything you've experienced so far. And let us all kind of know the IBM angle and expand on it as much as you'd like.
Hey, Warren, can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you.
So, hey, yeah, I'm Jason Duff. I'm the IBM North America oil and gas lead in our global business services. As you can probably tell with my deep Texan accent, I'm not Texan, but I'm sitting in sunny Woodlands, or South Dallas, as some of my colleagues call it. But I've been here for a year. So, yeah, this is our second year of sponsoring OGGN, specifically around the podcast and Mark. And actually, my experience of this started 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was in Asia. I was running IBM ASEAN. And I wanted to know what was going on in the rest of the world and some real stories rather than just press, etc. And one of my, Manish Chalwa, our oil and gas global lead, put me onto this. And it was fantastic. I could sit in Malaysia, in Singapore, really getting cutting edge, trusting data, give me a view of really what's happening in the industry and a little bit of an edgy comment of what did we really think, what was happening. That was fantastic from my perspective of then coming here and now being a Houston sort of, or a Houstonian. I'm still trying to get the Texan accent. It'll come.
Yeah.
But actually then giving it to my team that says, while we drive down the I-45 in the morning and just listening to Mark and the input, trying to put experts in with Mark and SMEs, but also using that with debates with the team, the IBM team, and with the client. It's fantastic. So for me, it's a fantastic thing to be involved in, Warren. and something that really gives that good edge.
Yes, thank you. And I know, like, with oil and gas this week, it's always like the most cutting edge information. I've really just noticed, when I first got introduced to the OGGN network, it was through oil and gas this week, and IBM has been such a great partner with that. What would you say, like when it comes to like Mark and Paige and like your experience with the show? What are some of the values that IBM is wanting to make sure that all of our viewers know, the people that are listening to this day in, day out? We're at 1 million downloads. I want anyone who's never listened to one of our podcasts to be able to kind of know what IBM's value proposition is in all of this.
Yeah, so good point. So why did I come here? I'll start off why I came here, and then the reason why OGGN. So the reason I'm here is oil and gas is absolutely fundamental, and we need a lead, and we need to get in the middle of the industry and really make a change to the industry of really looking at digital data and solutions, and really try and drop away from the IP and work out what can we actually do with the client's data and what digital strategies and what business value we can give to the oil and gas industry. That would be a mix from what we've done in other industries, which is absolutely fundamental. We all know our industry is behind on some of the innovation. So bringing stuff that we've done in banking, insurance, utilities, distribution, etc. It's not so different when you look at the digital strategy. Mix that with the SMEs. I've got an upstream lead just now, Tracy Solomons, is ex-Halliburton. Mix that plus the SME knowledge, the client knowledge, the industry knowledge, and pull it all together with consulting, bang. Then we've got something that's different. I also think then we need to look at the reality of the industry and where we are. And how do we really, too much of it just now is T&M. Time and materials, selling people. That's old hat. What we need to all do is stand up and really focus on what's the business value and start putting solutions in front of the client that can drive business value to the client and stand behind it in terms of how we contract, how we stand up, and the real value. So that's personally why I'm here, and the IBM and oil and gas, why it's really important. We talk about cognitive enterprise. That's just taking the data to the next level and the way of actually doing it. So can we build or design, build, maintain, host, take all different partners? And I'm agnostic, by the way. We're not, some people still think that we're doing typewriters and laptops. That was 18 years ago. This is a different IBM. We've transformed ourselves, and that's why I'm here to do it. If you go back to your original question, one really, the data we're getting from the guys from Mark, etc., is real life scenarios, and it just tests for us. If you take what are you listening to the client, what are our guys telling us, it's a great backboard, a checkpoint to understand, is this really where our industry is going? Is this really where we really need to add value? And it's a great backboard really to sense check where do I really want to be. Most of our work and most of probably the consultants' work around it will have an upstream. 60 to 70% of my business in North America will be around data science, data analytics in the next 2 years, I guaranteed. And it's driving the value.
I love it, Jason. I want to say from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you for being here. It means a lot to us what IBM does for the oil and gas industry and for sharing all of this information, which goes beyond just IBM. Thank you. For the reason of time, I'm going to close this out, and I'm sure I'll catch you at our next event.
Deal. Thanks, Warren. I'll buy you a beer.
Jason. Take care. IBM. And so now we're going to bring on AWS. The Oil and Gas Industry Leader podcast is one of the shows that it's about industry leaders. Paige Wilson, host. I can't believe it. You're on with us. How are you today?
I'm not too shabby. How are you, Warren?
I'm good. It's almost like this is like a super, it's like a dance with technology. And I got friends in high places, on the phone. I'm just trying to make sure the cloud is bringing in everyone we got. Tell us a little bit about your show while we wait for AWS to hop on, or are they not?
They're not actually. So I'm just going to speak on their behalf. Don Bulmer was supposed to make it. And he couldn't due to unforeseen circumstances. But however, if you would like to know more about what AWS is doing in oil and gas and transforming it, I would definitely suggest checking out episode 85 of my podcast with Arno van den Haak. Great guy, just really gets into the depths of it. I also believe that a couple of other people were on the Oil and Gas Tech Show and Oil and Gas Onshore Show. So that's really all I got.
That's great. Well, shout out to AWS. Thank you so much. And Paige, thank you. It's Nutanix is coming up, and I got Mark LaCour on. I don't know how we would have a dead minute when he hops on here.
See you later, man.
All right. See you in a second. So while we wait for hi, Michael O'Sullivan. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. I don't have as much complexity in my life as you do right now. I can say that.
Yeah, it's like playing two different pianos with two different hands. But this is great. So I know Mark might hop on with us, but tell us a little about Nutanix, what you guys do. I want to take several minutes to really hear about you guys, and also what your feeling is about what we are doing with OGGN and why you did it. Sure.
So when we look at digital transformation in oil and gas, and we think about what can we contribute, we see all this great innovation for things like digital twins and data science and automation. There's a lot of really smart people that are working those problems, but to actually get the business value from that stuff, you have to deploy it and operate all those things in the real world. And in oil and gas, that's kind of where the trouble starts sometimes, because the industry is so big and it's complex and it's highly distributed. So it turns out that a lot of these digital transformation efforts actually stall in the scaling phase. In fact, I just recently read a report that said maybe as many as half of them stall when it comes time to really get it out there and make it work. So Nutanix has this idea of enterprise cloud, which is basically a distributed cloud operating platform that you can put everywhere from the data center to the public cloud to the edge, and then you can manage it all like it's one big thing. And so that makes it a lot easier to deploy and operate all these new solutions, right? And you got to go across disciplines and geographies and companies even sometimes. So with this platform, you can actually sustain all of these things over time. So you can actually get the transformational value out of them that they were designed to do. And you can run all of your all your traditional applications and systems on the same platform. So you got everything all working together. It flushes out all the complexity, makes everything simple, and lets you all manage it from one place. So we look at that. Our part in transforming the industry is helping you to simplify actually deploying and operating all this stuff that you're building to help transform the industry.
Hey, Michael, it's Warren. Good job on covering me. I couldn't get back in. So good job with IBM. Thank you for that. You covered that well. So, Michael, great explanation on what y'all are doing to help transform in the oil and gas industry. Appreciate you from the bottom of my heart as sponsor of one of our shows. But why did you choose to work with OGGN?
So for us, so a big piece of the success for us in oil and gas is having a connection to the community. So, not just a one-way connection where we get to say all this stuff and everybody has to listen, but we want to hear from people in the industry and stay in tune with what's going on and what's important. And so this really gives us that connection. So that's why I think I said before, we don't just sponsor the podcasts, but we listen to them so that we can learn things from people. And we get to meet a lot of great people. Mark, you got great relationships all over the industry. So, which is really valuable to me because I work for a tech company, right? So sometimes we imagine that we know things, and but it's better to actually get input from people who are really out there in the real world.
We use the word sponsors because people identify that immediately, but really everybody's a partner of ours. It's a win-win for all of us, and we appreciate y'all working with us. So Warren, let's let Michael and I drop off so you can bring somebody else in.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you, Michael.
See you.
Take care. I want to say while we're waiting for the next sponsor, which is TechnipFMC, it's really amazing. We do these events. Nutanix sponsored one of our live events. 170 oil and gas professionals show up. We did an AI AI panel. But Tony, how are you? So Tony Manzoor with TechnipFMC. He's sponsoring the oil and gas onshore podcast with Justin. I'm sure Justin will pop on. Tony, how are you today?
Good, Warren. How are you? Very happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
I'm good. In the next 5 minutes, I really want to dedicate this to you. I want to give you a chance to really share with our viewers. This is going to play and would love to hear a little bit about you guys, and then I'll let Justin kind of pepper you with some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So TechnipFMC exists to transform the energy industry. And we do it every day by introducing breakthrough technologies that help our customers reduce cost and carbon intensity. We are developing disruptive technology that we're incorporating into integrated solutions, all supported with flawless execution. We are in the business of introducing ecosystems that operate with a single digital interface for deep water, shallow water, onshore unconventional, and onshore conventional fields. We believe our industry has to evolve towards single digital interfaces, remote operations, and really ecosystems rather than component suppliers. That's what we're doing in TechnipFMC, Warren.
Thank you. And Justin, I'm so happy to have you on here. It's like,
thank you. You got on.
You've been doing the double Dutch, right? You're back on, and I would love you to kind of engage us. We've got a few minutes to really dedicate to this show and what Tony and his company is doing.
For sure. No, firstly, appreciate it. And Tony, welcome to the summit. And certainly, I just want to start off by saying myself, on behalf of OGGN, we really appreciate the support, the sponsorship, and the strategic relationship that we've developed. And certainly some of the things that you are doing, I've even had, some reviews come through stating that they weren't even aware that you guys were something other than just subsea. So the message is being presented in such a way that the reach is getting to where we need it to get to. And I mean, obviously TechnipFMC, you guys have been around for so long. You guys have a massive global reach, but I guess the question for me and maybe some of the other people out there are like, what made you and the rest of your team decide to sponsor and partner with OGGN and more specifically to the oil and gas onshore podcast?
So I am so glad that you're actually mentioning that that some people still think of us as a subsea technology partner, when actually we have an extraordinary surface offering that I'm proud to represent, right? And we have our equipment is everywhere in the world, not just in the US, but in the Middle East, absolutely everywhere. We have a huge global footprint for our surface division, right? And so about your question, we love OGGN's energy and the passion that you guys have for our industry. I gotta tell you, so our industry is often under attack, right? And it's usually under attack by people who have no knowledge about our health, safety, and environmental standards, right? And I guarantee you, none of these people has ever set foot in a real well site, okay? Right. So I love OGGN because I think you guys are providing a forum where we can educate.
Well, and not to cut you off, but I love what you're saying. And that was one of the purposes I started the Oil and Gas Onshore podcast, was to hopefully reach an audience that normally doesn't get to engage with oil and gas people. Our industry touches all facets of life, from everything from economy to driving cars, cell phones. And so certainly I just wanted to supplement that with saying I think the education portion is extremely vital to what we're doing.
Absolutely. We're powering the world's economy. And I think OGGN is a win-win for all of us in the oil and gas industry. It allows us to share best practices, and it allows us to continue our industry's relentless pursuit of lowering costs and emissions.
Well, guys, thank you. Out of respect for time, I got to shut it down. Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you,
definitely
Warren.
Check out Justin and Tony. You guys did a great job. We're going to move on to the next one. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
See you guys.
Hey, take care. So next up is Tidewater, who's a sponsor of the oil and gas offshore podcast. I've got Andy Lash, and it'll be Jason Stanley hopefully joining us, Andy.
Yeah, I know he was on earlier and just working through all the technical issues, but
so so while we wait for him to hop on, Andy, why don't you just kind of give us a quick overview about your podcast and some updates?
Yeah, the offshore podcast, we're just touching really anything in the offshore sector. Of course, we're always looking at the oil and gas sector and talking to that community, but we're talking anything offshore and maritime, drill ship safety, vessel safety. I mean, many different facets of the maritime and offshore sector. There's Jason.
Hey, Jason, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Terrific. I'm excited that you're here. I know I would love you to just take a moment and introduce your company, explain what you are doing to transform the oil and gas industry, and then I'll let Andy kind of pepper you with a question or two, and then I'll reluctantly have to shut it down at about the 5-minute mark.
Yeah, no worries. No, thanks for having me on. Just to introduce Tidewater, most people have probably, if you've had anything to do with offshore in the last 60 plus years, you may have heard of Tidewater. So today we're the world's largest owner and operator of OSVs, offshore support vessels. So we support pretty much, either today or in some point in history, every oil and gas operator, small and large, all over the world, as well as many large contractors and service companies like Baker Hughes and TechnipFMC. They're offshore divisions, obviously. Lots of experience. And one of the things that we've been working really hard on the last few years is really transforming Tidewater to become a much more efficient, modern company, implementing a lot of different technologies. I mean, I'm proud to say, it's kind of hard to believe over a short space of a couple of years, we've become a almost entirely cloud-based operation as far as all of our previously, paper-based systems. That's all been revamped and replaced. We're actually using AWS for our cloud-based systems, just to give them a plug since they're a co-sponsor here. And we've really been upgrading our fleet, investing heavily in things like hybrid propulsion technology, fuel monitoring and management systems, all to get more efficient, cost-effective, and reduce emissions. So it's been a really busy few years, and we're kind of excited to get see some benefits from all of this.
That's great. And then Andy, I know that what Tidewater does is so important to you. I have to ask you, Jason, like, what is it that was the driving force behind you really wanting to be a part of OGG and Andy's show?
Yeah, it was pretty easy, actually. We haven't, for a while, we really hadn't done much communicating to the market, to all of our stakeholders. Really, we know it was very traditional. We needed to get everybody up to speed on what we were doing. We were kind of still seen as the same old Tidewater. There's a good part of that, and there's a not so good part of that. People kind of had an image stuck in their mind of what the company was about. We'd invested heavily in brand new fleet of vessels and all sorts of things, and we, I met with OGGN and Mark and Andy, and we talked about, how do we better get out the message to all of these stakeholders, our employees, customers, and investors, and tell them what we're up to, all the different things we've had going on. And I really thought the podcast platform was a great way to do it. And at the same time, we get to, help listeners learn more about what's going on offshore every day. It's pretty amazing. A lot of people don't realize all of the technology that's been implemented and used all the way from 4,000 meters at the seabed all the way to drones flying offshore. I mean, there's some pretty amazing stuff going on, and we don't talk about it as much as I think we should as an industry. And I love the platform. I think it's been really well received from, all the reviews you've seen, and a lot of the folks I've talked to since we launched this have been just fantastic. So I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jason, for the Tidewater sponsorship, and I can't stress the same enough. Like, it's been an amazing journey just for myself to learn so much about the offshore sector and take the audience along with us. So, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys. If you've ever searched Tidewater on YouTube, I mean, some of the videos that I see are pretty incredible. It's serious stuff. So, thank you both. Thank you, Jason. And thank you, Tidewater, for everything you do for OGGN. I also want to just take a minute, too, while we wait for the next ones, and I'll definitely catch up with you guys soon. Deloitte has made a big impact on us for making this platform possible. I also want to send a shout out to Russ Johns, who's navigating behind the scenes. He's behind the curtain. He's got 40 people in a room digitally that we're popping on and off the screen here to get together. But just, Deloitte has done quite a few things. We've got some cool shout outs for them as we go through this, but definitely want to say thank you as we bring on Baker Hughes. Baker Hughes has been the sponsor of our Permian Perspective podcast. Krista Escamilla has a wonderful show. I met Jamie Butler yesterday. There's a lot of cutting edge things. Hey, Jamie, how are you?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All
Your
right,
audio
excellent.
is good. I would assume Krista will be on here in a minute, but while we kind of kick this thing off, I would love you just to kind of talk about Baker Hughes. Tell us the latest and what impact you guys are making on the oil and gas industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And I have the pleasure of leading our fantastic Permian business based in Midland, Texas. So woohoo out to all West Texans and the Permian Basin. Permian proud here. So thanks again for having me. And, I really am fortunate to work for Baker Hughes, where we have 100 years of history and experience in oil and gas. So we really focus in on not just oil and gas. So we recently announced last year that we're an energy technology company. And so we're focused on the energy industry. And so our purpose is to take energy to the world, make it safer, cleaner, and more efficient for people on the planet. And it's been really exciting to be part of that transition. And everything that we're doing today connects back to this purpose. And it's exciting, all of the technology that we have in our portfolio. It's just fantastic, leading low carbon offerings and technology in this space. And not only focusing on the leading technology for reducing carbon footprint, but also focusing on our core. It's now more than ever in this challenging market, right? That we're in this pandemic, we're in this oil and gas crisis, but focusing in on our core competitiveness, making sure that we're, our customers are as productive and efficient as possible through all the technologies that we offer. And the last piece of our strategy is the tech edge, right? The digital piece that we bring to the table through AI and digital transformation. So really exciting. And we also launched new core values, which Mark and Krista continuously tell me, did somebody get in your brain for the Baker Hughes core values? Because those seem like your personal core values, and they really are, which is to grow, collaborate, lead, and care. And it really is an exciting transformation journey that we're on at Baker Hughes.
So I thank you for that. And I know Krista will not be joining us. We had a prepared video that we were hoping to share, but I know that there's deep gratitude that we have for our sponsors and you and what you're doing. Yesterday in our pre-call, you mentioned some things about the Permian Basin and how critical it is. Do you mind, just as you share a little bit about that, would you mind also sharing about what this podcast, why it was a choice that you guys made, and kind of a little bit about some background behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, really, actually, first of all, I have to start with, I met Mark and Paige first, and we had this idea for this podcast. So that was going, right? But just to give you an idea of how close-knit the community is I actually met Krista at a basketball practice, and our sons are the same age and they go to school together, and instantly knew this is the host for the podcast that Paige and Mark and I had been dreaming about for the Permian, and put Krista quickly in connection with Mark and Paige, and got this thing rolling. And so, but really that just shows you how closely knitted we are in the Permian community. So, but really to partner with OGGN is they bring, OGGN brings, I say they, y'all, everybody brings to the table very relevant and thought-provoking topics and to the globe, right? Not just to the Permian, and for our podcast in particular, but all the podcasts, the ever-reaching listeners across the globe. And I think for us, it was really about bringing those voices, those Permian voices, out to the rest of the world, because everyone is so fascinated about the Permian and where we're headed, and we really are the place to be. So if you haven't packed your bags and headed over to Midland, Odessa, I know we're in this crisis right now, But watch out, because this thing is going to bounce back like a boomerang, and Permian is a critical component to meeting the demands of the energy across the globe. So, Krista is able to bring those stories to life to all those listeners across the globe and help us with those infrastructure challenges that we're facing. So not only does she have oil and gas and energy industry leaders on her podcast, she has community leaders as well. And so that's what's exciting for us to partner and bring those voices to the rest of the world. And we really do appreciate it. It's been an incredible journey, and we really do value the partnership.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And
thank you.
I know we're going to move on, but I want to just say, what you guys have done at Baker Hughes and the support, it means a lot. And unfortunately, you can't hear from Krista herself, but she really had a lot to say. And so thank you so much. And
thank you.
See you soon or at our next event.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
So again, while I'm waiting, we got Emerson Hauser, Brian Hoover, and Rob Vermeulen will be joining us. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hi, Warren. How are you?
It's funny because as I sit here, I was going like, are we really going to be able to pull this thing off? Are we going to really get Brian and Rob on the screen together? And voila, it's like we're evolving by the second. So thank you guys for being here. You guys are the sponsors for Russell Stewart's show, Oil and Gas HSE. He may or may not pop up here. I'm hoping he's going to hop in. Could you guys just kind of start it off and talk a little bit about what Emerson Hauser is doing? And I hope I'm saying it right with the and sign there anyway. That what you guys are doing in the oil and gas industry.
Yes, let me start to introduce ourselves a little bit. Like you, Warren, a lot of people say Andrus plus Hauser or Andrus and Hauser, and it's Andrus and Hauser. So you're good. Yes, Emerson Hauser is a Swiss company. We started in 1953, developing capacitance level probes for measuring level in liquids and in solids. And Mr. Hauser, he just came from school. He had some great ideas about how to develop capacitance probes and stuff like that, but he had one problem. Even a Swiss guy, Warren, and that was money. And Mr. Hauser, he was a pensionated banker. He had some money. He was looking for an investment, and together they started Emerson Hauser in a Swiss army bunker in the area of Basel in Switzerland. So what does Emerson Hauser do? We make instrumentation and solutions and services for the solutions and the instrumentation. That's what we do. We're a global company. We have 8,000 patents just on instrumentation by itself. So we have been very innovative over the years. Some of the innovations like straight tube Coriolis meters, tuning fork for overfill protection, heartbeat, digital communicating pH probes, self-calibrating temperature probes. That's all developed and have patents from Emerson Hauser in it as well. We employ roughly about 14,000 employees worldwide. We produce close to our customers, so not in one place, but we produce in China, Japan, India, USA. We have a huge campus in the US as well, in Greenwood, Indiana, where I'm presenting from at the moment as well. And that's what we do. And now I'd like to hand over to Brian Hoover. He will explain us a little bit more about the focus activities for oil and gas. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, really our objective is to be recognized by the industry as really a valued partner for improving client performance in the upstream, midstream, and downstream sectors. I really do that by four basic deliverables. We want to help them increase their revenue. We do that by either one way is to reduce uncertainty and help them manage that uncertainty to get the most out of the barrel and get to the bottom of the barrel. We can also increase uptime by minimizing run to failure events. We also want to provide the most effective technology for getting it done. It's really for the measurement of value of oil, gas, and water. Even water's sells for up to $4 a barrel and doesn't change as frequently as the price of a barrel of oil. And we have a broad range of intelligent instruments and analytical systems that provide oil and gas companies with information on both product quality and quantity. And finally, we want to improve the safety of operations, and that operational safety is also supplemented by regulatory safety. So operational safety can be by reducing exposure to people in the field, to hydrocarbons, implementation of heartbeat technology, development of sensors for SIL 2 and SIL 3 environment. And finally, we integrate all that information into either the customer's cloud or our own Natillion platform. And I'd like to have Sean Beaker talk to you about why we decided to partner with OGGN.
Sean, how are you today? So you guys
doing well. How about you, Warren?
I'm so glad you made it. I love the subject of health, safety, environment, right? It's so important. But you guys have just a couple minutes left. Sean, I would love to hear you close this one out for us. And you guys, I can't wait to meet y'all in person when our world gets restored and I have you guys at our next live event. Sean, take it away.
Definitely. Yeah, well, just about the podcast and why we got involved. We work really hard to create, meaningful conversations and connections with our customers through our communication efforts, and really the engaging kind of conversational style of these podcasts and these events like this are a really perfect way to do that. And it really complements the other educational content and different programs that we have in place, like our webinars on endress.com that we have up for oil and gas. And this is really just a perfect fit for that. And, trust and relationships are pretty important too, obviously. And you guys have that with your audience. And it's clear by just the network that you've built and just our early interactions with you guys over the last few months. It's just been a relatively short time, but you've really helped us build some great connections so far. And then as far as the HSE podcast itself, we really align in terms of our objectives well. It's all about working to find innovative ways to help people optimize their safety, minimize their environmental impact. That's what we're all about. That's what the podcast is all about. So it's really been a nice fit so far. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys. Indris and Hauser, you guys are great. I can't wait to meet you. And thank you so much for sponsoring. And I'm sure we'll catch up very soon. Thank you guys.
Yeah, we'll do.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you. So while I wait for Sean McCoy and Hewlett Packard to hop on, I want to send another thank you to Deloitte for being kind of helping us with our platform, and also Russ Johns, who is a pirate broadcast syndicate who makes this possible for us to kind of get everybody together virtually. Thank you so much for you guys. And so Sean McCoy, Peter Moser, how are you guys?
Hey, I'm doing great, Warren. How you doing? Hi, Sean.
Yeah, hey, buddy. Living the dream. Thank you.
So this is kind of like there's something very unique about you guys coming on, because number one, this is the newest, most up and coming podcast at OGGN. Before we get into all of that, Sean, and because I really want to get into what Hewlett Packard Enterprises is doing in the oil and gas industry. But Sean, I want to give you just a minute to kind of talk about your show, because it's really the first episode hasn't been dropped yet.
We haven't. It's still in the developmental stage, to be honest. But the whole purpose of it, actually the name of it, is going to be the Oil and Gas Elevate podcast. And much in the theme of what we've been talking about, you've heard on the other guests, is just we know as an industry that we're going to need to do what we can to provide an authentic, true account of what we're doing as an industry, companies, to fight all kinds of issues up to and including environmental, socioeconomic, inside the industry, business issues, operational issues, and what are we actually doing to make that happen? Because silence is a form of communication, and we want to help guide that perspective to allow people to understand all the amazing things that are going on in our industry.
Terrific. And I don't know, we might take a little technological pause for a moment, because I think Mark wants to hop on. Do not get upset with me if you guys get kicked off, because I'm going to put Mark liqueur on for a moment. He's got an announcement to make. Mark liqueur.
Yeah. So the audiences are going, what the heck is HPE and Sean talking about? This was our secret thing that we had to reveal. So not only have we acquired the Women's Offshore podcast, we're launching a new podcast in partnership with Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And it's literally Oil and Gas Elevate. It's going to be the ESG story. For over 5 years, I've been trying to tell the good story of our industry because nobody does it. Well, now Sean and HPE are going to do that exact thing. They're going to tell the great stories of our industry, the stuff the public never hears about, the stuff that the people don't like our industry don't know about, right? And so we're going to do it. So I am so happy that we're making this announcement here, and there's not another company I'd rather partner with than HPE on this. So now I'm going to back out, so Warren, so you can finish. But Sean and Peter, thank y'all so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mark.
I met Mark, Mark was a familiar face to me just from living in Houston, but I never really knew him. And I had gone to an OGG live event, and I'm just kind of setting this up, but it's like, Sean McCoy and I were kind of friends, and this whole thing that I know about the environmental part and the good things that's going on in the oil and gas industry, these untold stories, you guys are really the ones that are going to really shout it out through the mic and make sure that the world starts to learn and understand how everything that relates to our industry and what we're doing is really, there are so many great things from what we do off, like in these other countries to here at home. So with that, I do want to let you, Peter, talk about Hewlett-Packard Enterprises. Tell us about the oil and gas connection. And before we close it out, we got about 3 or 4 minutes before I'll have to close it down.
Sure. So I appreciate that, Warren. So first, I want to get clear on who Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is. A lot of people still think we're the old HP, which was kind of the cornerstone for Silicon Valley back in 1938 until 2015. We split into 2 companies. We have HP Inc., which makes the printers, the PCs, and those technologies. Then Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, we focus on the data center, the cloud, artificial intelligence, IoT services, and things like that. So that's the other part of the business. So I just wanted to kind of get that on the table. But very similar to this great industry of oil and gas, which we try to serve to the best of our abilities, is HPE is committed to a circular economy. And what does that mean? Very similar to oil and gas, we try to minimize our impact on the environment. In our case, it's using fewer natural resources and then recycling as many of those natural resources as we can to make new products. Also, we help our oil and gas customers reduce the amount of power they consume by making energy efficient products. And so that's kind of what we're doing to help our customers, like in upstream, for instance. Our Intelligent Edge platform is used by drillers to help them with real-time drilling analytics, to do predictive interpretation of potential for stuck pipe, bit whirl, things like that. In the downstream, in the plants, we're working with them to help improve their OEE, their worker safety. We have a solution we call Connected Worker, which is based on our VRG platform. And for a lot of these customers, especially with these headwinds we're facing in the industry, they still have remote workers, but unfortunately, many of the companies have had to let people go. So that's putting a strain on their existing workforce. So this allows them to more easily and better leverage their subject matter experts across the globe. And then we have this really rich partner ecosystem, which includes Deloitte, who's a fantastic partner, and a lot of the others like Nutanix. And so what Hewlett-Packard Enterprise does now that we've transformed our company to be much more like a startup, if you will, is we have this partner ecosystem of companies like ABB, Schneider Electric, Siemens. We can bring all these partners together, Deloitte, together to help our oil and gas customers get a more complete solution and to help enable them with their digital transformation, which they all are going through. And this is all data driven. And that's really kind of the core of HPE strategy is intelligent edge, cloud enabled, data driven.
I love it. And guys, since I know this show hasn't aired yet, I just want to take a couple minutes to just have a quick conversation with both of you. My history with OGGN goes back just a year, right? Like I'm exposed to them. I see what they're doing in the community. I'm attending events. I'm able to go like just as somebody who knows nobody. I mean, at the point where I'm attending an event kind of as a fan, and any event that I go to, I'm meeting great professionals. Sean, Peter, can you guys both just talk a little bit about what you know about OGGN and why you both made a very serious commitment to be here right now is to join forces to launch this show called Elevate?
Peter, do you want to start?
My opinion, you guys are just the breadth of way you approach the industry. Yeah, I commend you for that. And then the diversity of ideas by the different presenters that you have, the different companies that can bring these ideas to the table and share them with a global audience. I mean, your global breadth is very impressive. And for a lot of these companies, trying to reach a global audience is not easy. And so you've created a great platform and forum for doing that. So I commend you for all three of those things. It's no small task to do what you've done.
Thank you. And Sean, you and Mark have worked very hard to make this happen. Could you just talk a little bit about, your commitment to this and how much it's taken for you to get here where we are right now.
Well, actually, we connected over the Offshore podcast. When he did the hosting contest on LinkedIn, I actually reached out and wanted to apply for that. And then him and I had some time to talk, and he's like, "Hey, I got a great guy," which he did. Wonderful. Andy does a great job with that podcast. I love listening to it. And then we started talking more about what was the interest outside of just that pod. And he's like, "I think I have one that I'd really love for you to do that with." And I have a lot of experience on the former CSR, now ESG side of the corporate world for oil and gas. My time at Schlumberger and different companies like that, I've done a lot in that world. And then the medium of podcasting, what an amazing, almost timeless, you can go back. It's this beautiful medium to connect with people. And as Peter was talking about, you really get a chance. And I think the beauty of it is you get to hear the people and what they're doing and what the companies are doing individually. And it cuts through a lot of that noise that's also out there. And it gives everyone out there inside the industry as well as outside the industry a chance to learn a little bit more about what they don't know. Because as we know, if you're in this, it is massive. And so you don't know what's all going on. And I think there's a lot of us that we want to know to clarify what it is that we know. And this is a beautiful chance to do that. Hewlett Packard Enterprise is coming on board, is making this happen. And we're excited about what's coming for sure.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Peter. Definitely excited to see y'all's show. This is definitely something that the world needs more of. It's going to be positive, and it's going to be about Earth and everything else that is positive going on in the oil and gas industry. Thank you so much, guys. And see you all at the next event too.
Thanks, Sean.
Right. Take care.
Guys.
See you soon.
Bye now.
So while we're waiting for transition, Deloitte, I can't say the word Deloitte enough right now. Part of getting this event to take place, as you can tell, there's so much appreciation for our sponsors. Our sponsors do this because they care about the information that is shared. They want, with all the shows that you find at OGGN, at the end of the day, it's about listeners learning something, learning the most cutting edge information, keeping them up to date. Lewis, how are you?
Good. How are you, Warren?
Good. I never know if my folks are really going to come on. Actually, I got to say, hasn't it been amazing so far how great Russ has been able to put it together? Like I'm trying to prepare for the worst, but so far the worst hasn't happened. It's like people just keep coming in the room and we get on screen and look at this. So how you doing, Nigel?
Yeah, it's right on time.
Well. Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah, it's actually working seamlessly. So well done.
Yeah,
well done.
It's funny. Wow. Did you guys see that? Deloitte in the house. So Lewis, Nigel, I'm so glad you guys are here. To start off, not everybody knows what all Deloitte is doing in the oil and gas industry. We've got about 5 minutes here. I would love to just kind of hand you guys over the mic and let you kind of, between the two of you, let's really share the information. You already know my deepest gratitude for making this happen. It really does mean a lot to us. So I'll let you guys choose who goes first, and I'll sit back and let you talk.
Thanks, Warren. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. We're really pleased and excited to be here as one of the sponsor of the podcast summit. I'll spend a couple of minutes just to give you a quick background on because not everybody knows what Deloitte does, right? So quickly, we are, this year we're celebrating our 175th year anniversary, and we are the largest professional services firm in the world. We're a global network of firms across 150 countries where we provide services across consulting, audit, and tax, which is probably what most people know us for, risk and financial advisory. But in oil and gas, we have, globally, we probably have close to 400,000 professionals serving our clients. And in oil and gas, we have close to 4,000 professionals serving over 250 clients. We're doing obviously in times like this, right? We're very close to our clients to help them through the transition and help them hopefully with the rebound, right? Because we know that our industry is a very resilient bunch, right? We know that we're gonna come out of the dip that we're in. And to that regard, I'd love to Nigel to talk about one of the very interesting things specifically that we're doing to help the industry and to help the industry rebound from where we are. Nigel?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Louis, thanks for the intro, and Warren, once again, thank you for the opportunity to sponsor this great event. I think it's a great opportunity to share ideas and insight across this industry that we love. So, regarding what Deloitte is doing specifically to support the industry, I would say at its core, what we're focused on is really trying to help the industry survive and thrive amidst this low oil price environment. And the way that we think we can do that is actually bringing both sides together, operators and suppliers, to attack the waste and inefficiency that's baked into how the industry works together. If you look at the full life cycle of a supplier, or the relationship, I should say, between a supplier and an operator, the industry still relies on manually intensive, time-consuming ways of working, and these are ultimately contributing to higher costs for both parties. Now, historically, the industry really hasn't cared about this waste and inefficiency, since when oil prices are high, the costs associated with inefficient collaboration usually are not a high priority. And then similarly, like we're seeing now during these downturns, the focus usually shifts to price cuts and scaling back operations. But this is not sustainable, and it's actually creating a lot of issues across this industry. And so what we see now is organizations are really focused on reducing costs, and the only way to really make a material and sustainable impact in this area is to work together to solve this issue. And this is where Deloitte comes in. What we're doing is we're actually working to develop a two-sided platform that connects suppliers and operators and helps them work together seamlessly to increase efficiencies, improve safety and quality levels, and lower costs. We've been working on this concept, I would say, for nearly a year, and have been performing a wide range of discovery sessions with different organizations who currently operate in the Permian. And as a result of these sessions, we have deep insight into specific pain points and opportunities for improvement, such as improving how operators find and connect with suppliers, how organizations buy and sell goods, and how work is scheduled and managed across a basin. So the last thing I'll say is, if you're interested in joining us on this journey, we're looking for Permian-focused organizations to join our customer panel to help participate in the development of this new and exciting platform. And as a benefit, these organizations will not only be able to shape the product's journey, but they'll also benefit from preferential access to the platform when it goes live. So that's a high-level overview, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you guys. No, it's really great. And one of the things that I'll tell you is that when I go back, and I look at what I've heard about what Deloitte is doing, here I am, I'm surrounded by, this team of podcasters that are out there, they're from technology all the way to the Permian Basin, onshore, offshore. It's such a deep breath that all of these different podcasters collaboratively are experiencing. Kudos to Deloitte, right? I mean, I think that's something that you guys are doing, and I would love to just take a minute to kind of let you guys give some feedback. But it's like with OGGN and what we are even doing here, isn't kind of the goal to get as many people to hear your message, because that's the only way to make an impact is if somebody engages, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
So with that, I would just say, just before I close it out and move it to our final sponsor of the day, I would like to just ask you guys, what has your experience been with OGGN? What do you guys find to be the most valuable part of our relationship?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been a listener of OGGN for many years, even before I met Mark. And I knew from the beginning, like one of my colleagues, Nick Haram, he actually suggested the podcast many years ago, and I became a big fan. And by listening to the podcast and like the energy that Mark and Paige had, and the the positive light that they were putting on our industry, and for me, working for over 20 years in the industry, I felt that every time that I listened to an episode, I would learn something new, right? So it kind of like sparked the interest, like, man, there's got to be a way that we can partner with these folks to help put our message out there. And initially, we did a few things, a few years ago with Mark, and now with what we're doing with Nigel and this platform, we're looking to ways to collaborate and to be able to get our message out there because of the great audience that you have, right? It's exactly the folks that we wanted to hear our message. So it has been a fantastic collaboration, and I think like we're just starting. So
Thank you. And Nigel, I do have to shut it down, but I want to just thank you guys. Really, we appreciate Deloitte. We appreciate you guys, and we will continue to do everything we can to make a difference. And thank you so much. So can't wait to see you guys. The more I meet everybody, the more I just can't wait till we can all get back together and actually spend time together. So thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So Deloitte, I mean, I got to tell you, as I wait for, I got Top Coder coming on, Clinton Bonner. A really great relationship with OGGN. At the end of the day, it's like two parties really wanting to share as much information to help give every oil and gas producer, company, anyone in their role, kind of the most cutting edge information and what's going on in the marketplace. Again, thank you to Deloitte. So on the back end of this, I want to call it a podcast, but this amazing video online event, the summit here is right now in the back room. There's 40 different people that are participating in today. Russ Johns, who's done an excellent job. I don't know how he's done it, but so far people just kind of come onto the screen just as we have them scheduled. Top Coder is one of another sponsor of us. I'm expecting to have Ali and Mark come on any moment. While we're waiting, because I know they're coming on in just a minute, when you look at the art of podcasting and you look at what's being done here, this goes back many years. So to find out, where we're at today, we've done over 1 million different downloads that we've received at OGGN. Mark liqueur has kicked off this thing with Sean McCoy to do the Elevate podcast. Clinton, I can't ignore you. You're on here. I've been waiting. I've been waiting on you, but also trying to fill some airtime. How are you today, Clinton?
Doing a great job, Warren. Thanks so much. Yeah, excited to be on. Thank you. And I do believe Mark and Ali are coming on now as well. So
yes, they'll slide on somewhere. Hey, look at this.
Hi. And there's Mark. Look at this.
Hey, Warren. So real quick, let's anybody out there that wants to do one of these live streams, it's a technical challenge, and the best thing we ever did was hire Russ. So any company out there that wants to do this sort of stuff without hitches, reach out to us. We'll share Russ's contact information. It's what he does for a living. He's damn good at it, and he's the whole reason this thing hasn't fallen apart yet. But this is the part of the show, we're about halfway through. Two things. So not only have we acquired the Women's Offshore podcast, and not only have we donated money, but we pulled in our partner Top Coder, and I'm gonna hand it off to Clinton to talk about what they volunteered to do to also help the Women's Offshore Foundation.
Cool. Awesome. And I want to say, thank you, Mark. And Ali, congrats. I found that out yesterday. So that's really, really cool news.
Yes,
just some quick background. I had the pleasure of meeting Mark and his entire network. Last year, we had our annual conference down in Houston, and Mark was really gracious and understood that it could be exciting for his network to understand what we do with on-demand talent. And Mark, you were fantastic. You had 25% of our registrations came from your network. So many people were interested because of you. So I do want to say thanks. Hey, we talked about me sharing screen. So I'm assuming that's okay to do now?
Yeah, share away.
Okay, cool. Do it quickly.
Love that pop filter, by the way.
That's some podcast talk.
Yep.
Let me know when everybody could see this, and I'll promise to be quick.
Yeah, Ali, welcome to the family. I at the beginning when you were introduced, I was a little gun shy because I didn't really, it's a little like the very first few minutes. It's so interesting. So
we see it, Clinton.
Okay, cool deal. All right, and I promised I'll go quickly. So thank you for the opportunity. For those that might not know Top Coder just yet, we are a global community, so over 1.5 million technologists from across the globe. And we've been at this since 2001. So we take our global community, we pair it with a technology platform that allows enterprises to get to digital talent when they need it. So you can think of like Netflix or Uber or Lyft, if that's your preference, and on-demand talent. And obviously with all all the disruption that's been happening lately, and remote workforces coming into full force, kind of people are thankfully beating down our door because we have a whole bevy of remote talent that wants to go do good work. Real quick, this is what we canvass. So if people are ever like, what does Topcoder do? What kind of talent do they offer to the market? This is it. We got designers that focus on experiences, full stack developers, data scientists that are your algorithmists, your computer vision specialists, your AI specialists, and a whole slew of QA engineers. So it's kind of full stack development, but you're getting it when you need the talents, and really people really pair it with their full-time staff. We're not there to replace full-timers. You got brilliant people that work with you. However, we definitely are an augment to them so that your teams can get more done. Very, very quick on what we provide. This is on-demand talent, so it's burstable. So you can start projects faster. You can get to the right talent quicker. If it's niche projects or experimental projects, you can scale a heck of a lot better because you don't have those traditional constraints. And one that's come up a lot recently for us is that this idea of enterprise resiliency, because as the pandemic hit and as people had to cut contractors and just kind of lose traditional ways of getting labor done, if you have a burstable capacity or on-demand labor at your fingertips, you're much more resilient. So this one's a bit new for us, but it's a kind of a good time to talk about it just the same. So, by the way, we'll be back on a little bit later to showcase a couple of things, but everybody's going to get access to an ebook that we put together. Topcoder has a couple of fantastic oil and gas customers, most of them based in Houston. And this whole thing is chock full of case studies of these enterprises doing data science work, doing dashboard visualizations, doing app dev work through crowdsourcing, doing it through open talent, on our platform. So if you're wondering, well, how the heck can it work? We'd be happy to walk you through it, of course. But really the reason we're here is because we wanted to, congratulate Ali. Again, I found out just yesterday that the pod got acquired, but we ran a competition, a challenge, a design competition for Ali that spans 7 days. We'll show you some of the stuff later. But, Ali was a great partner. She has a website that's currently there that you can go check out. And she's like, hey, I'd love to get some redesigns done. And so we figured, why don't we donate some of our talent, donate some of our time, and give back and give Ali a great new look and feel. And we'll showcase some of that later as well, like how the competition went, how many people participated. And then of course we got a little showcase to show off some of the great designs that came out of the Topcoder community. So that's what I got for now, Mark, and I'll stop sharing. But thank you so much for the opportunity now, and I look forward to showing off what we were able to get done later.
Yeah, well, we just really sincerely appreciate that you volunteer time to help women offshore. This is a community, this is a family, and it's really cool to watch our family members come together and help each other. We're going to get to the results toward the end when we get toward the virtual happy hour. So Warren, the next section is all of our global oil and gas podcaster family. So these are not OGGN podcasters. These are other oil and gas podcasters in the world. We love to spread the love. We love to give them exposure. I actually listen to a lot of their shows. There's some amazing work being done out there all over the world. So I'm going to drop off so we can make space. Clinton and Ali, y'all can drop off as well to make space. And Warren, I'm going to let you start introducing the other oil and gas podcasts from around the world.
All right. This is going to be like a shotgun session. We've got quite a few, over 20 podcasters that are going to come on. These are not OGGN shows. I'm going to start out bringing on Jamie Elrod and Maciel Diaz, flipping the barrel. It'll take a minute to bring them on, but one of the things that I always noticed about Mark, liqueur, and everybody at OGGN is there's this passion for sharing and giving the latest information in the world of podcasting, because in addition to the world of oil and gas, you kind of have to have a community or a village, if you will, that can help you think of things like what vendors to use, what equipment would you need, what are the best social media tips and tricks. One of the things that, before I was ever part of OGGN, I looked to OGGN for some of this information. I got the help I needed. And what I love about these people that you're going to meet today is all of them have a passion for oil and gas. Hey, Maciel.
Hey, Warren. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. I'm sure we'll have Jamie hop on.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, there I am. How are y'all?
Great. So you guys have I just want you to take a couple minutes, tell everybody about your show, how they can find it, and thank you guys for being here. It means a lot to all of us.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. So we are the host behind Flipping the Barrel podcast. It's a women's perspective in oil and gas. We share the untold stories of this oil field through both men and women who have experienced everything from starting out as a field engineer to now being CEO. So we have some really great guests that we host on our podcast.
That's and yeah, great. If you want to find us, we are on www.flippingthebarrel.com, as well as anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And yeah, we're really excited.
Terrific. Well, thank you guys. And I'll make sure, everyone's going to find you guys online. I meet people all the time that reference your podcast. It's like I tell them I'm with OGGN and they always say, well, I listen to Flipping the Barrel too. So it's great. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. And next I've got David Gibson. David Gibson is another podcaster that, the oil and gas industry is something that we've got so many different verticals really. And one of the things I would imagine he'll be on here in just a couple minutes. I'm reading a couple messages here. You guys know that I've got Russ Johns behind the screen here. He's bringing people in and out, and it looks like everything is. For a moment here, we'll have hopefully David Gibson on. If not, anyone, Russ, that you want to show up on the screen, I'd be happy to make a quick intro to. So, here we go. David Reed. Hello.
How you doing?
So, David, I'd love for you to just walk us through a couple minutes of what your show is about and tell us all about it.
So I have a team that puts the show on, so I'm just talking on behalf of them. But we have NOV today. We've had internal podcasts to NOV for a while, and we took it outside, and so you can find that on normal channels. We go into the technology and the people behind it in oil and gas. So we're kind of very geeky, interested in the stories of the people, interested in the technology that's going on, and then we also do live casts of those shows. So we have NOV Live. And then we have just kicked off the Ask Assad show, so that's available on all your live stream channels as well.
David, I just want to say something to you as someone who knows you. We're not friends or anything, but I've been in places where there are so many of us that are trying to learn technology, social media. You're someone who really you're really someone who's willing to share information, help out any of us that are really looking for not just advice, but sometimes you're just looking for new ideas. So I just want to say kudos to you. Thank you for being here. And it means a lot to me that you're here too. Thank you.
It's been a great medium. It's a great era for us to be out there just sharing and learning. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
Thank you. And that's David Reed. I know they might just take you off in any minute now because we have our next guest, but thank you, David. No so Russ, I know Russ can hear me. Hey,
what's going on?
How's it going?
It's going good.
All right. So tell me your podcast there.
Yeah. So I'm DRW. That's my podcast name, but mostly also how industry knows me now. But I started the Hot Take of the Day as a blog in November 2018. And, it was really just addressing the issues that the industry had, which was we were over drilling. We were providing too much cheap energy to the world, and we were using debt to do it. And so sort of from the first blog post I did in November 2018 until we started the podcast in January of this year, we were getting 30,000 views a day. And I posted, I think, for like 400 days in a row as a blog. And so now we've launched a podcast. We get about 2,500 downloads per episode. And the goal is really to provide education to listeners and to our readers on topics that might be beyond the scope of their day-to-day functions. So like a geologist to learn about finance, or finance professionals to learn about reservoir engineering. We have a lot of fun with it. We had the Beating series over the summer, which was very popular. And then, as we've come out on March 8th, 2020, and obviously what happened with the Saudi Arabian decision on oil and Russia, we've sort of pivoted to what's next for energy. And so the goal of the podcast is really to provide conversations that occur in the C-suite. When I sold with my partners One Energy at the end of 2018, we were very fortunate on time, but the reason that the business was successful was because we understood the core things the market needed and how you would execute on strategy, tactics, and provide transparency to your investors and to your stakeholders. So that's
great.
what we're trying to.
So it's funny. I was like, I didn't recognize you right away. I know the podcast. So it's David Ramsden Wood, right?
Indeed.
All right. So only because we have a couple minutes, I do want to if you just tell everybody how to find your podcast. And I look forward to meeting you. I've heard a lot about you and look forward to getting to know you better.
Yeah, you can follow us at www.hottakeoftheday.com and email anytime, drw@hottakeoftheday.com, and listen to the podcast at #hottakeoftheday.com.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, we're moving fast and furious, aren't we? So we've got quite a few folks with us. Jim Colburn, how are you today?
I'm good, Warren. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here. So let's talk a little bit about you and your show.
Well, with my partner, Andy LeBeau, we've talked about oil markets for over 30 years. And we figured we're having these conversations anyway, so let's put them up on a podcast.
And so the show is called Commodity Research Group. Is that right?
Our company is Commodity Research Group. The podcast is Energy Markets, and it's about 35 minutes. Andy is this long-term excellent analyst in all things oil. And my background is in oil options since the 1980s when they started trading. So the two of us, we try to figure out what's happening in the world of energy prices. And also we try to look at what we actually see happening in the marketplace.
Love that.
Our audience tends to be oil traders, banks, financial news, and college students.
Perfect. And then before I let you go, I want to ask if somebody is searching for you, what would you suggest them search to find your pod?
Yes, they can find us at commodityresearchgroup.com. And we also post our podcast on EKT Interactive.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jim Colburn. Also,
Thanks,
guys, find Andrew LeBeau and Jim Colburn on Commodity Research Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren.
And so next, it's like a revolving door. I don't know who's going to pop in here. I got 20 of the most of some excellent podcasters coming in. Dan Genovese, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I'm can't wait to have a couple minutes to hear about your podcast and what you guys are up to over there.
Yeah, our 360 Energy podcast is produced by Entercom. I'm with Entercom. It's hosted by our ever energetic Michael Tanner on our Oil and Gas 360 digital news platform. The content of the podcast takes on several different forms. It includes a daily 5 to 7 minute 360 digital closing bell, which is a summary of the daily energy news headlines and indexes. And it includes our international news desk update. And on Mondays, we also produce a look ahead, and on Fridays, a look back in the podcast format. We also have some of the best expert interviews on our 360 Energy Expert Network. That includes insights from Embarrass, Haynes and Boone, Netherlands Sewell, Alex Epstein. So a lot of good content there. And I will say that our content is clear, it's concise, it's not drawn out, it's not that dry as a shoe leather podcast. It's entertaining. And you can sign up for the daily closing bell email, which includes the podcast and kind of the top 5 to 7 stories in energy for the day. And you can do that at oilandgas360.com. And most people know Entercom as being the host of the Oil and Gas Conference, which will be occurring this August. So love to see you, love to have you sign up to get the closing bell and the podcast on a daily basis. It'd be great.
Well, thank you so much. And then Dan, I'm noticing that the name of the podcast is it Energy 360, just for anyone who's watching, listening to find you.
It's actually 360 Energy. So
360 Energy.
Yeah.
Just I double checked on that. There you go. All right. Well, terrific. Thank you, Dan. And
thank you.
Looking forward to listening to your pod.
You bet. Everybody have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. So for those who are watching any moment now, I'll have another podcaster. OGGN has many shows, and these are some of our fellow podcasters. Matt Sands, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
You are live. Yes, thank you.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Warren and Mark and crew. So my name is Matt Sands, and I'm the host of the Mineral Rights podcast. And I have about 20 years experience in the industry from all aspects of downstream and upstream. And my focus over the past 5 years has been on investing and consulting in the mineral rights and royalty space. And so we've been podcasting for about 3 years. I have a co-host, Justin Williams, who's an individual mineral owner with properties in the Permian, to provide that perspective. And the show covers monthly news updates and interviews with experts across all areas of minerals and royalties. And so we have, just for example, had a title attorney on recently to talk about title opinions and stuff around operator bankruptcies, what to do when your wells get shut in. So trying to focus on like the timely events, stuff going on in the industry. And
hey, Matt, I gotta tell you, I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, shout out to Mark Liqueur, Oil and Gas This Week, rocking the serial number 26 here of the IBM and OGGN T-shirt. So just felt like I should give a shout out to Mark. So thanks, Mark. So thanks.
Thank you. That's great. So before I close it out, just because we're so short on time, you want to just tell anybody how to find the pod?
Yeah, so we can be found wherever you get your podcasts, also mineralrightspodcast.com. And I know we're going to be giving away some free stuff later, so I have a giveaway for everybody listening here today. Just go to mineralrightspodcast.com/summit, and you can check that out. So thanks again.
Thank you. So as I wait on my next, I always wished I was a whistler. It's like if I could whistle, I would whistle for y'all while we do our little exchange from one podcaster to the next. David Gibson.
Hey, Warren, I have to tell you, man, I've been here with you the whole time. I've been supporting you the whole time, been watching here, not many people know, so I'll let you guys know. So my name is David Gibson. I'm the host of the Vidor Locksmith Show. It's the very first oil and gas or energy in particular, live show on LinkedIn. And so I was one of the first to be able to go through all of the problems that Warren's going through right now, and Mark and everybody else. And you know what, guys? This is authentic. This is what it's like. This is us doing our best to be able to bring you, the audience, what it's like to be happening in this industry. And we're pushing the boundaries and we're doing the best we can. So, Warren, I have nothing but admiration for you. I have tons of empathy for you. I know exactly what you're going through. I've been there, and it only gets better from here. So, kudos to you with everything that's going on today. So,
thanks. I will tell you this too. It's like, so Russ Johns, who's got this pirate broadcast, says, this isn't really, they don't organize these platforms to do like 50 people, right? So we're like pushing it to the max, like it's redlining the machine. But I've really got like this CIA agent type digital guy behind the scenes making magic happen. So shout out to Russ, and thank you, David, for acknowledging that. So David, I'd love for you to just kind of tell us really quick about your show and the pod, and and I'll give you a chance.
Yeah. So, like I said, I actually, it's not really a podcast. It's a live cast, much like what we're doing right now. And so as per normal that I do on my live cast, I always acknowledge our audience. So if anybody out there is actually watching, if you've seen my show before, or if you've listened to any of the OGGN podcasts, please comment in the comment section right now. Give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. That's important. We want to be able to see your feedback. We want to be able to interact with you guys. So my show, like I said, is called The Vidor Locksmith. I was one of the first 50 people selected by LinkedIn to be able to broadcast live, and we just went for it. And what we ended up creating was a show where we started interviewing people. And here recently, what we've been able to do is we've tapped into a whole new market of what people are looking for, which is people want to be educated about some of the basics in our industry. And I shouldn't say just basics, but they want these high-level technical people that have been in our industry for years to be able to present to them. So what we've done is we've started creating what's called the Vidor Locksmith Class Time. And so every Friday at 10 a.m., we bring on somebody who can present at the highest level, a subject matter expert, and be able to educate the industry on things like managed pressure drilling dynamics, well evaluation, financials. We've got David Ramson Wood, who should be on here at some point in time, as well as David Reed's been on the show. I think he was on here just a few minutes ago. So we cover a lot of different things, but it's a live show on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And this week we're going to try for Facebook and on Twitter at the same time. So,
well, that's terrific. David Gibson, thank you so much for being on here. You are a trailblazer, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. So OGGN, and here we got Olu. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's great to be here.
Olu, I just can't help it. I want to tell everybody where are you at? Like, tell us.
Okay, so right now I'm in Qatar, but I am Nigerian originally. That's my nationality.
This is something that one of my favorite things about everything OGGN is just the global reach. Like, really, like the idea that we really have listeners all over the globe, right? And then to meet you, or you're in Qatar, and you've got the Energy Talk podcast. Tell us a little bit about your show. I think it's great that you made the time to come here. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So I started the show a few months after I got out of school. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering, and just wanted to learn more about the energy industry in general. So I thought that maybe some other young people would also have the same interest. So I started it to get like a holistic experience, because as engineers, we don't really get much about the policy side and outside of the oil and gas space. So at this point, my team and I kind of pride ourselves as we can have one episode, we can have a climate activist and then a representative from the oil and gas industry, and then from nuclear, and then from renewables energy. And we believe that bringing everybody together on one platform, where we can understand that everybody has to play a part to play in the energy transition, especially the oil and gas industry. People tend to villainize the industry, which isn't the best way to approach it. So we want to make sure that people understand that, yes, the oil and gas industry does have more responsibility, but they're also part of the solution as well. And that's what we try to do. We try to make it story-driven and really appeal to young people. So you can find us at The Energy Talk. Just find us anywhere you listen to your podcast, or Instagram and on Twitter as well. And I can't be here without giving a big shout out to OGGN as well. Mark was a big part of this. So I started listening to the Oil and Gas podcast quite religiously every week. And Mark really inspired me. And also, he's been a very big help, offering up his time and his advice. And not everybody replies to a student who just got out of school asking for interviews or asking for advice. So Mark really went out of his way to help me. And I can't be here without saying a thank you to Mark as well. So,
well, yeah, I love that you're saying that, because it's definitely true. And I'm going to speak for Mark, which is, Mark, time and time again, is like a mentor, someone who helps people get something like this done. I definitely want you to hook up with Sean McCoy, because it sounds like some of the stuff that you're doing would be good for you guys to connect. So definitely we'll talk soon. Thank you, Olu. And thank you for the kind words.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Jeffrey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
You're one of these podcasters that I know, and we've never met, right? So anyone who's watching this, I want you to know, I don't know Jeffrey. We've never had a beer together. We don't know each other, but I keep my eye on you on LinkedIn. You're always doing stuff. You always share really great information. Tell us about your podcast, and you got a couple minutes here to let everybody know how to find it.
All right. Well, I'm going to put the timer on.
Okay.
All right. So my name's Jeffrey Kent. I'm the author of Bits, Bytes, and Barrels. There's the book. It's called The Digital Transformation of Oil and Gas, and I produce a podcast called Digital Oil and Gas. A few months ago, I woke to an early morning phone call from Kuwait. It was a chap named Qais Al-Doub, who's a senior guy with the Kuwaiti National Petroleum Company. And he had listened to one of my podcasts about blockchain, launched his own movement in Kuwait, and wanted to get some help to accelerate it. It's my belief that the incumbent suppliers of energy, like KNPC, are the best positioned to be the suppliers of energy in the future. And we have so many advantages, from our talent pool to our infrastructure. But we've also fallen way behind in innovation and transformation. And so to secure our future, we need to get smart on how digital tools are going to enable the industry. And Case, like many of us, now recognize that need. So my podcast, Digital Oil and Gas, is a weekly show. It explores this topic of digital innovation and the impact on the industry. The show has 3 guiding principles: communicate, educate, and innovate. It communicates news, analysis, and points of view. It educates by explaining digital concepts, debunking myths, and presenting the possibilities. And it innovates by sharing novel ideas that are proven to work. It's an ideas show. We talk about blockchain, cloud computing, Internet of Things, robotics, and applications in upstream, midstream, and downstream. Episodes have several formats, including narrations of my weekly blog series, interviews with industry leaders, and recordings of my keynote addresses. So if you're a senior leader in the industry like Case, you're curious about digital innovations, or if you're a supplier to the industry, including services, equipment, technology, this show is for you. And you can find it on Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere where you can find podcasts.
Jeffrey, thank you so much. And I know we're in COVID days, or we're coming to hopefully to the end of it. I don't know, but I hope I see you at our next live event, because it would be fun to have a drink with you.
You bet. See you then.
Thank you, Jeffrey. So again, I'm going to send a shout out to Deloitte for helping us have this platform, have this opportunity, and all of our sponsors for everything they do. Laurent.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening from London. And thank you, Warren.
What time is it over there?
It's 10:45. I'm super happy.
Burning the midnight oil. So tell us about your show, Laurent.
So I am the co-host of a show called Redefining Energy alongside my friend Gerard Reed. So Gerard is we're both clean energy veteran investment bankers. And he focuses more on the tech startup part of thing. And I've been a trader for most of my life. I've not been trading oil, but I've been trading clean power, renewables, carbon credits, and even at some point uranium yellow cake. And the angle of our show, because we're just amateurs, it's to debate how tech, market regulation, and digitization are redefining energy. So the type of topic we address are renewables, hydrogen, energy storage, EVs, green finance, and we don't touch oil, to tell you the truth, but we are very interested in LNG. And if I have another 45 minutes, I can really explain why.
Yes.
LNG is the freedom against Gazprom and the Putin and the KGB. So long live LNG.
Well, amazing. Well, I want to thank you, Laurent. I'm very interested. I haven't listened to your pod yet. I'm sure a lot of people are listening now, and they'll look and check it out. Definitely.
We are politically extremely incorrect.
Oh my God!
All the time.
Why is it that I love that? Like, I love to hear all kinds of stuff that isn't really textbook or in the PG lifestyle, right? And it's always fun to get.
We are in our 50s. We made our life. We just tell it as it is.
Edgy is good. Edgy is good. Well, thank you so much. And
my
Russ,
pleasure.
For those of you who don't know, thank you. I'm speaking to Russ Johns, who's the man behind all of this technology. Russ can hear me, but we can't hear or see him. But Russ has been doing such a great job of bringing individuals and companies on as our scheduling is set up. Right now, we're having podcaster after podcaster. And hey, this is like musical chairs, right?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So Kyle Chambers, Quality Matters.
Yep.
I'm number one. I'm very proud of you in a weird way. Like, I'm not, it's not like I'm your elder and I get to say, I'm proud of you, son, but you got your podcast going. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So it's actually hosted by myself. My wife, Darcy, had to duck out probably about 5 minutes ago to go pick up our daughter, but we're husband and wife. We run our business together, have a podcast to share with the world why quality matters. And that's the name of the podcast, is Quality Matters. And especially right now, I got to say, in the business side of things, we have seen more uptick since the COVID and oil and gas shutdown than we saw the entire rest of the year before that, because folks are trying to find ways to save time, to save money, to save energy for what really matters most to their businesses and to the key people that they've been able to keep on board right now. And that's what the podcast is all about, is all the many reasons that quality really matters and how it impacts your life.
You know, people who are just like meeting you for the first time and don't know what you do. You're very much an IT guy, right? And so we're just, a lot of times people think, well, IT people don't normally like have so much to say. You got a lot to say and you have a lot of opinions. And I think anyone tuning into this show, they're definitely going to learn something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We try to keep it short. We want it to be so that you can listen to it on the way to and from work. So they're never more than 20 minutes long. Yeah. I think we only had one episode that really went over that. And really the goal is to try to share something of value, a little bit of entertainment, to really understand that quality angle. And when I say quality, I'm talking about anything related to compliance, quality assurance, whether it's the ISO 9001 world, Six Sigma, it doesn't matter. Anything in that umbrella, we're going to talk about it. We're going to have fun with it.
Well, thank you, Kyle Chambers. And, looking forward to hearing your show. And I'm sure all of us are. So a lot of us are watching. Thank you. So, Phil Sherwood, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Man, that was a quick transition. I like this.
Yeah, it's getting better and better, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Phil, I got a chance to meet you a little bit yesterday. Tell everybody about your show, and also I'd love you to share how they can find it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Phil Sherwood. I am the founder and CEO of Sureware, where you do oil and gas accounting software. But I've been in business 25 years, and we wanted to start a podcast mainly for our clients. And trying to think of a name, the only thing I could come up with is, man, we've been here 25 years and we're still here. So that's the name of the podcast. It's the We're Still Here podcast. And it's all about the resilience of the people who work in oil and gas, because face it, if you work in oil and gas and you're still here after several years, you've got some resilience in you. So most of our episodes are interview based, and we talk to the people in the industry, find out what's going on in the industry, find out how they got into the industry. So we hear a lot of good stories. And this summer, we're going to be doing a series with the folks in the trenches, the folks who lead up the state oil and gas associations, to find out what's going on in each state and what their priorities are for the rest of the year. You can find us again at we'restillherepodcast.com and anywhere you find podcasts. But also want to introduce or announce a new podcast that we're starting. We're going to be launching a new podcast in July in partnership with Copus, and it's going to be the Petroleum Accountants podcast. Copus is the Petroleum Accountants Society, and my co-host will be Tom Weirman, the executive director of Copus, and we're going to be talking about topics that are interesting to oil and gas accountants, to oil and gas bookkeepers, things like, how do you account for negative oil? How does that affect your books and everything like that? So we're really excited to be doing that. And it's geared towards CPAs, bookkeepers, office managers, the folks that run the back office for oil and gas companies.
Well, terrific, Phil. Congratulations on kicking off another pod. I'll definitely check out We're Still Here. It's a nifty name, and for a very good reason. So thank you so much, and hope we get to meet at the next OGGN event.
Yeah, I hope we get to meet too, and really appreciate OGGN putting this on.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So, Russell, Pipeliners podcast. I haven't met you in person yet, but I'm so interested to get to know you. Tell me a little bit about the Pipeliners podcast and what you guys cover and how everyone can find you.
Well, so the Pipeliners podcast, the whole premise is I learned the business by going to trade shows and conferences and talking to people and finding the smart guys and asking them hard questions and being kind of unabashedly ignorant. Not stupid, ignorant. There's a difference, right? So the whole idea of the podcast was just take that idea and roll it out in the form of podcast. I started in 2017, I started in the domains that I know a lot about: custody transfer measurement, SCADA, automation, telecoms, control room, leak detection, and then started asking the, who do you know question, and found the who do you knows, and then the who that they knew, and then the who that they knew. And now I got people calling me. A couple episodes I want to point out that I really think are awesome. One, on the 20th anniversary of the Bellingham incident. Bellingham was a gasoline pipeline in Bellingham, Washington, that linked into a city park. It caught fire. It was a really nasty disaster. And I had a pipeline operations executive who had direct experience come and share his story on the podcast. Really, really compelling, and kind of helps you get all fired up about what we do and why it matters and why pipeline safety is an important issue. And then I recently had Skip Elliott, who's the administrator of the Pipeline Safety Administration, appointed by the president. His group, his people reached out to me, and we had him on talking about how that side of the pipeline business works. So wide range of topics, all things, all pipeline, all the time.
Terrific, Russell. Thank you so much. For time, I got to go, but I want to tell you thank you so much. And I want to encourage anyone who wants to learn more about you to check out your pod. Thank you.
Pipeliners Podcast, wherever you search for it.
Terrific. And next, I know we've got Jason Notoras. How are you, Jason?
Hey, doing well, Warren. How you doing?
Doing good. Thank you for being here. And thank you for taking the time to hang out in the back room with our team. Russ Johns, who's orchestrating this whole thing, he messaged me. He's like, Jason's on back here, we're going to put him on. So thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about your podcast and also, of course, how we can find it.
Absolutely. You're making me feel kind of VIP with this shout out.
Hey,
Russ is
look
doing
at
great,
you.
by the way. And thank you guys for putting this together. This is a great summit. So my name's Jason Notoras. I'm one of the co-hosts and producer for the SBE podcast, which is a multimedia channel for the Society of Petroleum Engineers. Most of our episodes really focus on new technologies, thought leadership, and inspirational stories. And they really span the globe in subject matter and in both guests and hosts that we've had on. Most of our episodes are pretty digestible. They're about 30 to 45 minutes in length. And we've noticed that our technical episodes are the most popular, which is pretty exciting for the Society of Petroleum Engineers, because that's actually part of our mission, excuse me, to disseminate technical information. So when you think about it, this is information that in the past was really only available in technical papers or in a magazine like JPT, the Journal of Petroleum Technology, or also maybe at an in-person event. All those still have great value, but it's just so exciting that SPE can provide this new avenue for people to be able to acquire this information.
Well, thank you for that. And if somebody, I guess you're on all the obvious channels, right?
Or on all the obvious channels, just look for the SPE podcast. And we've also started a new venture called the SPE Live broadcast, which are simulcast on all of our social media channels and available on demand. You can go over to spe.org to find all that. I'll also throw the links in the comments of LinkedIn.
Well, thank you, Jason. And I look forward to meeting you at one of our events. The thing I love about OGGN events is it's like we actually all get to shake hands, and even if it's COVID time, if they did one, which we don't have one on the books right now during COVID, but we could
right now for you.
We could do an elbow bump. So, well, thank you so much, Jason.
Thanks, Warren.
Take
Appreciate
care.
it. You as well.
So another shout out to Deloitte for our mission, and Mark Liqueur and Deloitte. Thank you for making this happen for all of us podcasters. So Ijiro, how are you?
Hi, Warren. How are you doing?
Very nice to see you today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great.
We might have saved the best for last. I don't know if you're the last.
Oh wow,
one.
I'm last. Oh wow.
But I'm not quite positive. Anything could happen here. But so Ijiro, tell me a little bit about your podcast. Tell the listeners and the viewers how to find it.
Okay, so my podcast is called The Oil and Gas Conversations. It basically talks about the present and the future of the oil and gas industry from an African, particularly in Nigerian perspective, right? The idea is that with conversations, right, comes thought-provoking discussions. And this leads to knowledge sharing and eventually change, which is what we need in the industry, especially in Africa. You know, we have a lot of vast resources, but it's not really translating into wealth. So what are we doing wrong, right? So my podcast is not like an interview style. It's basically a conversation, and we try to highlight all of this. And another goal of my podcast is projecting young voices. You know, we're in a space where everybody thinks that oil and gas industry is backdated. Everybody wants to be in tech. Everybody wants to be in renewables. But the idea is that, you know, the fact that we're changing, we're evolving, we need young people, innovative people in the industry. And I try to highlight that. One of the things that one of the sponsors said that I thought was great was that, you know, the oil and gas industry is often under attack. And we have people who don't have a clue about what's going on, especially in Africa. You know, there are conversations about why don't we have 24-hour power? Why, you know, why do we basically focus on oil and gas in Nigeria, for example? And it's basically just having those conversations so we can educate people and people can, you know, have ideas of how they can come into the space and change it.
Well,
so,
thank you, Ejiro. I mean, you're so right. Yeah. And one of the things that I'll tell you too, Ejiro, is that, you know, we introduced the Elevate podcast today that's coming, you know, and I think you and Sean knowing each other and the vision of sharing this amazing information of the positive impact that's going on in the oil and gas industry. It's great to hear. So definitely hope to meet you. You're far away.
Yes, I'm in Lagos right now. It's almost midnight here.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, and look forward to meeting you. You're invited to any oil and gas global event you want to come to, guaranteed.
Thank you very much. I'll take you up on that. Have a
Thank
great night.
you. Thank you. And so I know we got Marty coming up, Marty Stetzer. Marty, how are you?
I'm good today, Warren. Thanks to you and Mark for setting this up.
Yeah, thank you. You know, when Mark had this vision and our sponsors heard it, sponsors like Deloitte and Nutanix, and the list goes on, all of us really appreciate the sharing of information. You guys, the podcasters, mean a lot to us. Can you tell us a little bit about your show and what and how we can find it and really just a little bit about it so our viewers and listeners can check it out?
I sure will. First, Marty Stetzer. I'm president of EKT Interactive in Houston. We don't have a show. We use podcasts as a learning tool. So let me give you a little bit of background. Our marketing vice president, Doug Stetzer, is scheduled to talk later in the program about what we call our learning and podcast network as a whole. And I'm responsible for our Drill Down podcast that is part of that effort. Doug's been with me for almost 10 years, and we're a digital training company, and the digital training strategy was his. But all along, he said he wished he had a microphone on the table anytime we got together with our industry contacts and friends. Lots of other folks like you with decades of experience in different segments of the industry. What Doug realized is there's so much knowledge just lost all over the oil patch as people like me and the other OGGN members just sit down and talk shop, especially with so much experience walking out the door when people retired or were forced into other industries when the prices collapsed. It was true knowledge transfer, but it all went into the ether, the wrong place. So our idea behind our Drill Down podcast series, it's an informal place where I can talk shop with people that can add value to our 11,000 member learning community, supplement our digital training courses with real world experience. So again, Drill Down is not a show, but a learning tool. You can check us out at www.ektinteractive.com. And again, thanks to you and Mark for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, Marty. And I think that's conclusion. That's the conclusion of all of our podcasters today. If I'm wrong, I'll find out in just a minute. But I want anyone who's watching, who's been listening, that might have a question for any of our podcast hosts or for Mark LaCour or anyone that's been part of this, any of our sponsors, we encourage you to send us, chat us up, put your questions in the comments. We want to give you as much information. A lot of people don't know this, but did you know that every single podcast show that's on OGGN was pretty much the subject matter would be driven by the listeners who are asking for information. And then basically, as Mark went through and expanded the show, it would be based on each and every subject matter that our listeners were wanting to know about. So it's kind of a fun fact. Our latest show, Elevate, and then we've got this amazing show with Allie that I cannot wait to hear, is the latest and greatest. So with that, let me see. I think Mark Liqueur is about to hop back in. It sounds, oh, look at that. It's almost like I'm psychic. Like I say, I think Mark's about to hop back in, and voila.
So Warren, how exciting has today been? So first thing, we've never done this before, ever. We had some big challenges, literally 1 minute and 47 seconds before we were supposed to go on air. Russ is doing a tremendous job. We're going to bring him on when we do the vendors because this is the wave of the future. And if you want to do this right professionally, you need somebody like Russ running your back end. But how cool is it that in the same show, we've announced the acquisition of our first podcast. We've never acquired a podcast before. And we announced the launch of our ESG show sponsored by Hewlett Packard Enterprise, the Oil and Gas Elevate show. I have big plans for that show. It's just been an incredible day already. And I appreciate everybody that's listening and viewing. I know this didn't roll smoothly, but I'm looking at all the feedback and looking people giving us shouts out. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Now we're getting toward the end of this summit where we're going to bring our vendors on. And I use the word vendors because you immediately understand what I'm talking about. But in our world, they're not vendors, they're partners. And we're going to bring each one of them on. We're going to have a little discussion about what they do, why we chose to partner with them. And then we're going to go to our virtual happy hour. And at the virtual happy hour, we're going to bring Top Coder back to show the results of what they've done for Ali and the Women Offshore Foundation. So,
Mark, I have a question for you, though. I got,
sure.
Here we are. We're making this happen in the second. So when you're talking to the vendors, I could very well hop off, and you will find me next time you see me. I'll be over at the bar. I mean, hopefully the insurance agents aren't listening to this. I'll be over by the bar, and we're going to learn how to make a dragon fruit margarita today. But I just want to ask, should I jump? I almost think I should jump off.
Yes.
And catch you in a little bit.
Yep.
So Russ, with that, make me disappear, and I'm going to let Mark just take it from here, and I'll come back on when you guys are ready for me.
All right, you've done a great job, Warren. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Mark.
So, Russ, whatever vendors you have queued up in the back room, let's start bringing them on. And then once again to the audience, I really appreciate y'all paying attention to what we're doing. As professional podcasters, we would not exist without you listening to what we do. And so just, my heartfelt thank you for every one of our listeners. And if you're not a listener, thank you for joining the show. Once again, we wouldn't exist without this. And it's awesome. I got Gary here with Audio-Technica. How you doing today, Gary?
Doing great.
So let me talk a little bit Audio-Technica. When we first started this whole podcast, we had never expected it to grow. We bootstrapped it ourselves. And the very first thing I read when I was doing research on how to start a podcast was I needed a $1,500 microphone. Gary, that's not true, is it?
That is not true. And, we had a little conversation before, which was a great kind of segue. It kind of wrote my introduction, and it's kind of like how the company was founded. And that's kind of what I wanted to go into. We could talk about tech specs and whatnot, but you really don't need a $1,500 microphone. Audio-Technica was founded in 1962 in Japan, and it's kind of a very different story. The owner was a curator of an art museum, so he was a lover of the arts, and he would have concerts at the museum, and by concert, he would play a stereo system, and people would come because they couldn't have stereos in their apartments and whatnot due to the crowded nature of Japan. And he began this personal striving for perfection in audio. And one of his underlying tenets was he wanted to provide quality audio for everyone within everyone's reach. So while we make $49 microphones and we make $3,000 microphones, you can rest assured that they're all going to give you pretty much the best quality sound. I know a lot of the folks are out there familiar with our AT2005. This guy, I think you guys own a boatload of them. And, that's a $79 microphone that it belies its price, if you will. So we're a transducer manufacturer. That's what we do. You guys are specialists in your field. Our field is, you wiggle something and it makes electrical current, or you put electrical current into something like a headphone and it makes sound. And that's what we do, and that's our core competency.
Yeah. So audience, if you look at this microphone, this is Audio-Technica 2005. The microphone that Warren was talking to is Audio-Technica 2005. We've probably bought 50 or 60 great microphones. The sound quality is superb. They're very robust. We travel all around the world, and you throw these microphones in a padded bag and they're fine in the luggage compartments of airplanes. Now, the funny thing is, Gary, maybe I shouldn't say it's funny, but if somebody wants to buy one of these, they're in short supply. Like, they almost don't exist right now because of the pandemic.
Yeah. So not only are they great for podcasts, they're also great for streaming, and they're also great for video conferencing like we're doing now. So as everyone was working from home, they realized, oh, my audio is horrible. That is typically the one thing everyone notices. Video can be bad, but audio cannot be bad. You need the intelligibility. So microphones, especially USB microphones like that, where it's a plug and play operation, no interface, they just flew off the shelves. So you may be able to poke around. Maybe Sweetwater may have some laying in a dark corner of their warehouse, but yeah, it's a very popular microphone.
Yeah, and speaking of Sweetwater, Matt with Sweetwater just popped a question, and he's asked me if you still gonna have Q&A after the intros. And Matt, we are gonna have Q&A, but one of our technical limitations is that we can only have 10 people in the back room as possible. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we pull it off, but we're gonna try. So as soon as I get all my vendor partners introduced, we're gonna open up to Q&A. And audience, it's not just gonna be Q&A for our partners. It's gonna be Q&A for our hosts, for our sponsors, for everything. And if we can't let the right person in the room to answer the question, we'll follow up later with the answer to the question. But Gary, love your equipment, not just your microphones. We use your headphones as well. And I tell you what, your customer service is superb. I've only had one issue ever with one microphone, and literally they sent me another microphone without me having to send the first one back. Now, I still sent it back, but they were so worried about making sure I could be taken care of. They were proactive about it, and I love that.
Yeah, I don't want to take up any more time here, but we actually have a whole department at our company called Audio Solutions, and all they do is troubleshoot. And it's not necessarily our equipment. It can be, I'm using this with this and a set of headphones and it doesn't work. And they will actually go through the entire audio chain and troubleshoot that. And that's all they do all day.
What a great way to take care of your customers, even if it's not your equipment. So Gary, thanks for coming on. I need you to go ahead and drop off so we can bring somebody else on. But I love your company. I love your partnership with us. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, guys.
All right, Russ, who do we got next? Todd with Blubrry. How you doing, Todd?
Hey, Mark. Doing great. Thanks.
Yeah, and you and I have never met. Now, Mike Dell and I have met quite a few times because as we've grown, we've had trouble with stuff, and Mike is always there in a moment's notice to help us. I want to tell the audience a little quick story. We started out, it was just one podcast, and we started out and we started to grow, and I needed a podcast hosting service that could grow with us. And Blubrry is that podcast hosting service. We've never had an issue. We're over 1 million downloads now. We have 9 shows. Blubrry's grown with us every single time. And if you're a WordPress user, their integration with WordPress makes it ridiculously easy to publish your shows. So Todd, can we talk a little bit about Blubrry?
Yeah, sure. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, just how did you get started?
I started out podcasting in October 2004 and turned this into a business in 2005. We were originally in the advertising space back in the very, very early days of podcasting, then switched to being more of a service company 6, 7, 8 years into the space. And today we're really a full service podcast hosting company that really has nuts to bolts, everything a podcaster will need to get up and running and starting a podcast. So as you guys are using our PowerPress plugin, which is used by around 80,000 podcasters worldwide, that's really kind of our claim to fame. But it makes podcasting easy when you can just create your media, upload your podcast right in your WordPress site, and hit publish. You don't have to go to any of the third-party website, and you're done. And it's backed by, of course, Mike. I'll let Mike talk a little bit about the support component, but we've really evolved over the years. We just recently introduced some enterprise stuff with bringing the product to AWS Marketplace. We've introduced private internal podcasting. We're well known for our stats. That was one of our first products back in 2005, and we're IAB certified compliant. Matter of fact, we were one of the first companies to be so. along with NPR. Of course, now there's 8 or 9 companies that have followed suit with getting certified. But yeah, we basically are. And the best part of it is we're all podcasters. So we know what it takes to grow a show and do the daily grind of building a show out. And of course, Mike leads my support team, and that's what we're really known for, is our support and being able to pick up and call a friend and say, hey, I need help. We're the only company in the business that actually offers phone support during normal business hours.
Yeah, and I can testify to that. We've had just a few issues over the years, and Mike has always been there, very patient, working with my team to figure out what the issue is. And quite, if my memory serves me correctly, I think most of those issues were us. We just didn't know it was us, right? And Mike was there to help us get through it. So, Mike, let's chat a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to turn all red here from you guys talking about me, but while I'm sitting here, come on. But yeah, it's, at Blubrry, we always pride ourselves at supporting the customer, and if something doesn't exist, we will look at maybe making it exist. I mean, that kind of thing, and a lot of the problems that podcasters run into are just little things that aren't intuitive, and me and my team are pretty good at figuring out what that little intuitive or non-intuitive thing is, and get you pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, and the cool thing is y'all are actually going to give away some podcast hosting, and so we haven't quite figured out how we're going to do that. Maybe we'll figure out during the happy hour. But if any of the oil and gas podcasters that joined us would like to experience Blubrry hosting, I think they're going to give away a 1-year packet of hosting. Am I overstating that?
Yeah. 1 year. Yep.
Yeah. If you're at another company or at another host, we'll be happy to move you.
Yeah. And if your podcast is hosted somewhere else, which ours originally were, we originally started out with Lipsum, and we made the business decision to move to Blubrry very early on. And once again, that migration project process was flawless. I was scared to death. I almost didn't want to pull the trigger because I was worried about losing my RSS feeds, and y'all just pulled it off. I mean, literally in an hour, it was done. So it was great.
As Mike says, he's the foremost expert in moving people from one, so that's, we do it every day of the week. But I think oftentimes, so people will come up to us at trade shows and so forth. They'll talk to Mike because that's the person they've interacted with through the company. And so, Mark, I appreciate your kind words about the support Mike's given you over the years.
Yeah, and Todd, we just love y'all to death. Like I said, we've never talked, but you've grown with me. You've been there every step of the way, and you can be there every step of the way in the future. So we appreciate y'all.
Well, very good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so I need y'all to drop off so we get the next vendor on. Yeah. See y'all guys.
Hi.
Hey, Matt.
How's it going, Mark?
Dude, we're pulling this thing off. We've had all kinds of behind the scenes, and it's still running. It's awesome.
It's going real well. You guys are doing a great job on this. You never would know this was your first show.
Yeah. And so, Matt, you're with Sweetwater. Now, Sweetwater is our vendor of choice for everything else we need for podcasting. And literally, I'm not quite sure what you don't sell. The prices are excellent, but once again, your customer support is incredible. I literally have every time I buy something from y'all, or we buy something, I have a live person call me and check on me to make sure it arrived, that I was happy with it. That disappeared in the 90s. Let's talk a little about Sweetwater. What do y'all do?
We're an online retailer. We're selling audio equipment, and myself as a podcaster, we're selling all your podcast needs, whether it's the microphones, the cables, your interfaces, your recording devices, all the way up to the mixing and mastering software that you might be needing. The whole piece of it, we sell all of it. We have access to all of that, and happy to serve the people that we can. We do that with amazing customer service, in-house tech support team who is quickly and easily able to hop on and support whether you're having technical issues. We're here to make sure what you get gets up and running so people can be hearing your show without any kind of issues at all.
Yeah. When we originally bought gear to live stream, one of the things we had a problem with is when we wanted cases to make it portable so it wouldn't get damaged. And we're going, where do we get cases for this? And I go, I know where, Sweetwater. Yep. We literally have pre-made cases, foam padded cases for everything we needed. Nobody else has that. I love it.
We do. Yeah. Everything's here in our warehouse, all located right here. We're in lovely Indiana, and we're ready to get the stuff. If you need it, give us a call. We're ready to get it shipping. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody out there that is thinking about podcasting, to form these relationships with your vendors where they become partners, where they support you. And yes, there's business to be done, but to exchange that money for a quality piece of equipment, but more importantly for subject matter expertise, I could reach out to Sweetwater and go, what mixing board do I need to do this with? Or if I'm using this interface, what's the problem? Or what's the difference between a dynamic versus a capsule mic? They are there to answer the questions, and they don't mind answering the questions, which I think is awesome.
That's what we're here for. Yeah, everybody who's working here, we've gone through some extensive weeks and weeks of training before we ever hit the phones and start helping our customers, so we know how to best serve everybody we can.
Yeah. So Matt, we love you to death. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. I'm gonna have to ask you to drop off so we get our next vendor on, but love you to death. Thank you. All right, Russ, who we got next? Hey, Teddy.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Awesome. Speaking of growth, all of our podcasts have a website. All of those websites are WordPress websites. Originally, we started out with the cheapest hosting provider we could find, and that caused issues. And we ran across the WP Engine. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, there is no other better WordPress hosting platform out there. We've met them in person. We've had them on our podcast. We drove out to their location. They put a lot of time and money and effort to make sure they support their clients. So Teddy, real quick, just talk a little bit about WP Engine.
No, thanks for the intro. It was funny. You did surprise me that day you came to the office, since I thought it was a phone call meeting, and then you were at the front desk. So that was a good surprise. But WP Engine is the leading WordPress digital experience platform. Our platform provides brands with solutions they need to create remarkable sites and apps on WordPress that drive their business forward faster. Through our platform, you can start from scratch and create your dream site, or import your existing WordPress site and have our teams assist you from there. We are a fully managed hosting solution, so you get access to account managers like myself, engineering teams, and our 24/7 support team to help you, even if your site crashes in the middle of the night. We are designed to work well with small businesses all the way up to, much larger, complex enterprise grade sites. So, if you guys have any WordPress hosting needs, we'd be happy to help, and just let me know.
And they're fantastic. So you talk about stuff crashing in the middle of the night. Yeah. I've had that happen. Now, it was my fault. I did the wrong thing, right? Didn't know what to do, was freaking out, called y'all. Y'all got my site back up in minutes. And you then spent the time to show me what I did wrong and how I could restore it myself. So, and this, I'm not sure if this is across all your hosting platforms, but for the package that we use, all our content's automatically backed up every day. So even if we mess something up and make a site disappear, it's literally log in, one button to restore the site, and it restores the most current backup. The other thing y'all do, which I don't know if anybody else does this, if you're in WordPress, one of the things that's aggravating when you have one WordPress site is keeping all the plugins updated. Well, we have 10. So I almost was thinking about hiring a full-time person to do nothing but keep plugins updated. And y'all figured out a way not only to automate that, but to give you a warning when the AI says, I'm going to upgrade this, but something doesn't look right. I'm going to stop and wait for a person to come in and tell me what to do. That is incredible.
Yeah, that was our new smart plugin manager, which came out last summer. It was definitely, big product to launch, because like you said, some companies did have, people where their whole role or most of their role was to just sort of manually go in and update those plugins. So that tool lets you, automate that whole process and gives you a nice safety net as well if it doesn't work.
Yeah, so I 100% endorse the WP Engine. We use them ourselves. We will always use them. They keep our business running. When they kept our business running, when we had one website and 3 listeners, and they're keeping our business running where we have over 1 million downloads. So Teddy, love you to death. Thank you for coming on.
Not a problem. Happy to help. And you guys, a great show.
Yep. Thank you. Drop off now so we can bring somebody else on. Oh, I just appeared. Here we go. Russ.
I just thought I'd give you a little heartburn.
So everybody's heard your name. You have kept this thing running unbelievably well. You do this for a living. Talk a little bit about what you do.
Well, I actually have a podcast, a live stream broadcast is what I call it, and live stream on LinkedIn Live, like David earlier was mentioning. And I do that 5 days a week, and I've been creating content. I've been in advertising since '85. And so, technology and content creation, podcasting, I've taught podcasting for years, since about 2005. And also I have a platform called Pirate Syndicate, which allows people to show up for their show without having to deal with a lot of the technology that goes behind it, just like we've done here. And it's a simple process that I enjoy helping out with. I enjoy building the systems and the solutions and the teams to allow it to happen. And as you know, we can't do it without a team. And so we just need to put people in the right place and allow them to do what makes them shine. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and help out and contribute to the cause of OGGN.
Yeah. So everybody out there that wants to do this, I'm just telling you now, reach out to Russ, pay him to do this for you. He's really good at this. Great guy. There's just no way in heck we would have pulled this off without you doing this. So really appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so interesting that I had lived in Houston for so long, and I use a lot of these products and solutions that you're bringing to the table with the vendors. And like I said, I just really appreciate what you're doing and everything that you have going on. So hats off to you and applause and gratitude for the opportunity. So
yeah, love you, brother. So I got to kick your butt out of here.
No worries.
Or you got to kick your own butt out of here so we get somebody else back on. So who we got next? Or is that everybody?
Yo,
look
at that. Look at me. I'm at the bar in Churrasco's. Churrasco's has been such a good friend to us. I got to send a shout out to them. I'm here with George. I know we're not drinking yet. So, Allie, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
One of the things that I want to do, and Mark, I don't know if it's too soon, but I want to send a couple little thank yous to our team. There's a few people that have been doing some magic behind. Tim Taylor. Tim Taylor has been amazing. Alex Brasher and Kaleh, I want to say her name is Deshotel, right, Mark?
Deshotel. Yeah, get you to work on your Cajun friends.
So anyway, I will go back. So Allie, how are you?
I'm doing great. I want to say just big thanks to OGGN, Top Coder. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this, and just want to extend my thanks from my board at Women Offshore. The generosity has been huge, so thank you.
So Warren, are we bringing Top Coder on and starting to wind down to the happy hour, I guess?
Oh, Top Coder is part of this.
Yeah.
Clinton. Hello again. What's up, everybody?
Hey, Clinton.
What's up, Mark? Hey, great job. And Russ, I've been on the back end of this, so I could tell everybody firsthand that when Mark says to go hire Russ, he is speaking the truth. So he's done a great job. Really, really nicely put together, Mark.
Yeah, it's not me. It's the whole team. Everybody that Warren just rattled off, plus the rest of the crew. I'm just the figurehead.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So are we going to the drinks first, or do you want to do the little
no, let's go ahead and do your part first.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna go back to sharing some. There you go. No problem. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen in a second, but I do want to just, before I didn't do a good job of letting Allie speak, so I apologize, Allie. But again, we had a chance to do some website redesign through the Top Coder community with Allie, and just wanted to give her this gift because she's got a great thing going. She's really, in our opinion, she's serving a community, that I'm looking at what's happening right now. I live in the Northeast, right? So people are still in like severe lockdown and really kind of isolated. I work from home as it is. And so I think I've probably gone through some of the things that the folks who Allie caters to is like, these women who are in the extreme minority out on the rigs and such, and her building a community and focusing on giving them a place to go to talk together and chat together. I think it's just a great thing. So we were super happy to come in, look at her site as it stood, and say, hey, if we could have some of the world's best designers go at this, would you be interested? And she jumped at it. So, Allie, before I start showing off some of the designs, anything you want to say? Of course.
I have been so impressed by how Top Coder took our vision and transformed it. What's really interesting about this experience is that last fall, I sat down with my board and we laid out what we wanted to do with our website to take it to a new level. And then before we knew it, we heard from Mark and Clinton at Top Coder, and they said that they could make it happen. And that was huge for us. So the stars aligned, and they took what we originally put together as a board and made it come to life.
Sweet, that's awesome. And really, really glad we could deliver. Hey, I'll share the screen again quickly. This way folks can see some of the outputs. And again, just Mark, I know you will let me know when folks can see it.
Hey, Warren, can you mute your microphone? We're getting a little feedback from you. There you go.
He's excited.
It's up, Clinton.
Cool. All right. So we call this a rapid user experience, or a RUX. We ran this, actually, some stats for everybody who's watching. We ran this over the course of 7 days. So we put the challenge out on the Top Coder platform. We help Ali. We listen. First of all, we listen to the customer and understand what the heck you want to do. And we take it from there in terms of, we write the specification, and we get feedback, in this case from Ali, saying, what should we emphasize? What should we de-emphasize? And then we put the spec out on our platform. And the stats you're seeing are what kind of came out of the woodwork that is the Top Coder community. So we had 44 registrants representing 6 different countries across the globe, with 23 unique people submitting work. And at the end of the day, Ali got a representation of 16 different designs to kind of go through the looks and the feels of them. And we put a little showcase together just to kind of show what it's like. So the big things I do want to hit here are, it's on-demand talent, right? It's you're getting direct access to, in this case, designers. We have developers, we have data scientists, we have QA engineers. But because design is visual, and as Agassi said, image is everything, we stuck with design and got this done in 7 days. So you're just seeing some representations. There was many more screens that were here as well, but this is the one that Ali liked the best. And Ali, actually, do you want to just say, I could filter through these as you go, but anything you want to give some commentary as I'm showing them off?
Yeah, so one important aspect of it for us is the dashboard, which you can see to the right. And this is something that, it's been very important for us to add. And it provides all this functionality where we can connect with women in our community, and they can also ask us questions in a very private way for any issues that they're having. So we're just really excited about the dashboard. And then the front page shows more of who we are, which is the image on the left. We had a blog site for the most part the last few years. So this will enable our users, our members, to come to the site and know exactly who we are and what we provide.
Very cool. And I'll just quickly go through some of the other iterations. And again, the nice part about running a challenge is that you get all these interpretations. You get multiple people from around the globe who come in and say, yeah, I'd like to take a crack at that. And so you get these, you just get variety, especially in design. If you're doing something digital, what a great way to kind of explore the art of the possible, do it really, really quickly, and have other people bring to you what they think a great experience might look and feel like. So that was just kind of a top 4. And again, there was many more screens that got done, but for, and just to condense this so people can get a taste, that was prizes 1 through 4 that were awarded through this. And we were so happy to donate this to Ali's organization, and really pumped to hear that the pod got picked up in the way it did. So excited to work with her some more too. So if anybody's interested, that's what we do. We are on-demand talent. Mark, you've been fantastic to us since the day I met you. So really appreciate all the opportunities. Ali, you're wonderful, and we wish you nothing but the best success.
Yeah, Clinton, you and your team are just fantastic. We actually model some of our new processes off the way you run your business because it's just so effective. But the other thing is, y'all believe in giving back. It's built into your core competency. You didn't talk about that, but like OGGN, that's part of what we do, and it's just great to have you as a partner and as a friend. And yes, we're here to make money, and yes, we're here to run a business, but we can do that and give back and have fun.
That's 1000% correct. And really, we're a community first, right? Top Coder is a global community. When we present great work to our members, we win. They win, they get exposure and opportunity. Our customers get amazing talent on their work, and we're the platform. So yeah, we make money too, but it's a true win-win, and a different way that work can happen in a distributed world, which we think is the future anyway. Just got accelerated a bit by the virus, but it's a great way to experiment, great way to get work done, and and again, we're grateful for the opportunity just to show it off.
Yeah, love having you here, Ali. The website looks phenomenal. Just so happy. My eyes watered up a little bit when I came to announce that you're joining us, and it's just great. Speaking of community, this is what community is about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have those same tears. So thank you.
Well, let's switch from tears to drinks. Warren, your microphone's muted, but you're now on stage.
Hey, so you guys know I'm at the family-owned Houston restaurant called Churrasco's. And what's important to know is the Pitch Podcast, which is the show that I host, where companies come on, they pitch their solutions to real problems. This is our home. Like, we come to Churrasco's. This is where we shoot it. They are very well known in Houston. It's not like a Brazilian steakhouse where it's just people running around slicing meat. This is like an amazing restaurant that I encourage anyone who's watching, come by here. They're like the Houston Texans. They're the official caterer of the Houston Texans. So I'm here with George, and George is going to tell us what the drink of the day is going to be. It's going to be something quite surprising.
All right, we got the pitaya margarita, or otherwise known as a dragon fruit margarita.
The dragon fruit margarita. Have you ever had one, Mark?
No, and what I'm going to do while I'm learning about the dragon fruit margarita is I am going to open up a nice bottle of Malbec.
Oh, jeez. So, okay, this is some serious action going on here. So here we go, George. Walk us through it.
Get started. We're gonna serve it up style, which is like martini. So I'm gonna salt the rim, martini glass.
He's salting the rim. This is like me being a sports broadcaster right here.
Yeah, which, by the way, audience, if this is the point where we're transitioning to the virtual happy hour, if you haven't figured it out yet.
Oh, yeah. For anyone watching, virtual happy hour right here. Grab your booze.
Then we're using 100% blue agave tequila. Silver. And then you got your orange liqueur.
Hey, you just said the word liqueur. I don't know what's up with that.
That's so old.
Sweetener. Some lime juice. I'm going to have him walk us through it one more time. So there's the dragon fruit right there. Look at Mark liqueur right there pouring his drink. Look at this action. So Churrasco's has 5 restaurants, so you can get this drink anywhere.
And Warren, while he's shaking that, I just want to give a big quick shout out to them because their food and their drinks are phenomenal and they're very inexpensive.
You can drink it. So we got this lady right here. She's about to let us know what she thinks.
That is good.
She says it's good. She says it's good. Hey guys, if you have never been to Churrasco's for the churrasco, which is like the most amazing filet mignon that's like rolled out flat. I mean, these guys know how to do it. Come check it out. We're at Churrasco's in Houston, 5 restaurants. I just found out like we're about to do some gig at the Woodlands location because one of the owners was saying, come to the Woodlands. The bar's right in the middle. Like you got to come there. So Mark, that's information for you.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing to have a restaurant want us to go to multiple locations and shoot some video and drink.
Seriously. Well, I want to say thank you, Mark, for making this whole event happen. You know, all these brothers and sisters of mine, these fellow podcast hosts, we could not be where we're at right now if we didn't have the information, if we didn't know the different tips and tricks. You have shared so much with not only me, but everyone. They all speak to me about you. You're a mentor to all of us. So thank you so much. Thank you to Tim Taylor and Alex and Kaleh, who have done such a great job in preparing us. You know, all of this to come together with Russ behind the scenes. Really, this is the first annual podcast summit. How could there not be a second?
No, this is going to be an annual event, and it's going to turn into a live event. I've had too much great feedback. We do have a comment, Warren, for you. It's a Brian Mon. Hey, Brian. And he says, Warren, pour me a drink, please. So cheers, Brian.
I'm going to get me a drink now. So
yeah. So Russ, who's ever left, bring them in. Let's just start chatting with people.
Yeah, Russ, the magic man. Russ Johns, the Pirate Syndicate. George, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Y'all can come meet George anytime at the Sugarland Churrasco's, by the way. Come on, Russ, get on the camera. We want to talk to you.
I'm right here. And if anybody wants to jump in, we got some space in the room. So take the lead and initiate the conversation here so we can actually continue to carry on this happy hour. If Tim's here, love to see you, Tim. Love to get you caught up. If Kaleh or Alex is around, love to catch up and invite you into the room.
Yeah, come on, crew. Join the feed.
Yeah, join the feed. Anyone, it's out there.
So how did we do, Russ? Like, I'm just curious. You know, the whole idea behind this was to share information and who our sponsors are, what they do, what the audience. You know, there's so many things that a listener, a viewer gets to learn by just one episode of any of our shows. What were our stats?
Hey, Jeffrey and David.
I figured I would do some happy hour stuff with you guys and join back in. I've got my shaker bottle that's completely empty of water.
It's still a work hour here outside Vancouver, so I'm on ginger tea.
That works.
Oh,
I've completely rigged down the set. I'm actually sitting at my desk now instead of standing like I normally do. So I am definitely enjoying the post 5 o'clock hour where I'm actually now doing the work I should have been doing all day.
It's I don't know about y'all, but this has been, I mean, obviously it's been a crazy year, but I expected us to get very slow. In fact, I was actually worried about keeping our sponsors happy, and we've had the exact opposite. We're so busy. We've grown so much in the last couple months. David, have you seen the same thing? Have you seen much more activity since everybody's locked down at home?
For my show format and the way that we do stuff, it's been completely different than it was in the past. As far as the online engagement, when this whole first thing kind of started taking off across the country and they were starting to say, okay, people need to start working from home. And it was that whole, there was like a 2-week period where it's like, are you guys going to the office next week or not? And during that, I started paying really close attention to a lot of the social media stuff. And it was just like content across the board, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything started to blow up. And so at that point in time, I was like, okay, we need to like up the number of live shows that we're doing. And when we started, we came back with the new format. It completely took off. We've had a lot of really, really good engagement. And I'm happy to see a lot of other people finally getting on board and doing the LinkedIn live stuff. SPE kicked off their stuff. NOV had been doing some stuff previously, but finally got in there and started doing some stuff. And now you guys are joining the group as well. So it's nice to see other people in oil and gas be able to get out there and start doing some live content shows.
Yeah. Jeffrey, so we have something in the works that we haven't fleshed out yet, but you and I and some of the other technology leaders out there are going to do something just like this very soon around tech and all, I guess. But have you seen an uptick in activity since this whole COVID-19 lockdown?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Those technologies that play a role in eliminating mobilization cost, travel to site, road miles, close quarters for employees, have all been given a huge boost. I was on a call this morning with a chap from a company called Ausperity, which is it's a visualization technology to take standard industrial grade data off of site cameras and interprets it for you and can act on it.
We know those guys. They're in Calgary. We actually had them on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So their business has gone ballistic because the older employees don't want to travel with younger employees, right? Because the behavior in the pandemic is young people aren't paying nearly as much attention to it as older people are, and for good reason. They don't get as affected, and the older are, the more risky it is for you. So that sort of age compression, which is you take a junior engineer and a senior engineer and jam them together to go to a site, that's gone. That's gone. No senior engineer who's got any underlying health conditions or they live with someone with who's immunocompromised wants to be in proximity to some young person who they're not sure of the provenance of that individual. So anything that deals with that is just gone like that.
Yeah, interesting times. Kyle, what about y'all? Have y'all seen an uptick in activity? Kyle, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No, it's really weird with us. Probably about a month into the shutdown, man, we started blowing up with downloads from our website because we put like all sorts of freebies on there for folks to download. When I was a quality manager, that was the number one thing I wanted was give me a free document, a free something that I can copy and modify, right? Any case, so that just started blowing up on us. And right now we've got more folks looking for consultation support than I've had the rest of the year combined.
Yeah, who would have ever thought?
Oh yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is it's the businesses that have found a way to survive through this. And now they've got a little bit of extra time on their hands, not much, but a little bit extra time on their hands. And they're looking to make those improvements that maybe they would have been too busy to even try before. Hell, the number one competition in our business is not someone else doing the same thing we do. The number one competition is don't do anything.
Right.
I mean, that's the number one challenge we got is they're making it like they are. Why the heck do anything better?
Yeah. It ain't broken. Why fix it?
Yeah.
Clinton, nice to see you join us. Is that an adult beverage?
It sure is. I'm on the East Coast, so as Jeffrey has to have gin and whatever it was, tea at this point.
Ginger tea. Ginger tea. No gin.
Ginger tea. There you go. So over here it's 6:45, so time for a beer.
And Alex, nice to see you.
Hey, yeah, I just jumped back on real quick. I have not fixed my beverage yet. And I'm in my empty upstairs bedroom because my roommate's downstairs. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on and say too, for whoever is listening, I'm going to be sending out a post-event email with like all of our sponsors information and stuff. I added Russ's website. So Russ's website, if you want to host an event like this of your own, Russ has the whole, a whole website explaining what he does. So that's available. And yeah, just pretty much wanted to say that. And the way that you can get that email is I've been posting about this event all over our social media, and there's a link with a landing page where you can sign up. So that's going to be something. And that'll also be probably the same list we use when we're having the event next year and, want to check in with everyone about it. So anyways, just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So just to make sure I'm clear on this. So anybody that's still listening, even though they didn't sign up for the landing page, they can still go there now and they will get that follow-up email.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we'll also probably post that on our Facebook and LinkedIn too. So you can get the information there as well. And I wanted to ask Russ, he's off now, but I wanted to make sure that he wanted me to list this website, but I'm pretty sure it's russjohns.com. So that seems, and it has his picture. So I think that that's the right one.
Yeah. If you don't see his face, you're on the wrong website.
Yeah, it's definitely him.
Yeah. So Alex, from your point of view, I mean, you've been here for a little while and I know you're extremely busy. I mean, you have a day job and you help us part-time, but have you seen an uptick in activity since all this started, both and actually talk a little bit about your business?
So my day job, no.
No uptick there.
Not really. So it's getting better. I have a trip next week to Birmingham, but I do business development for an oil absorbent product. So as production has kind of slowed down, so have we a little bit, but it does seem to be picking back up. And so I'm like 50% sales, 50% marketing. So for that job, I do our website, I do SEO stuff, email campaigns, all of that. But I'm also making sales calls and doing outside sales, which is the part that I really love. So that has been challenging to not do that and to be working from home every day. Like I said, I'm in my empty third bedroom, trying to, get all of that together. But as far as that, and my company is called Kengro Oil Absorbents. And so, yeah, that's been interesting. We have shifted to our other product line that deals with construction. So that's just an example of how we've kind of shifted with the market. Highly recommend that for, sustainability in any market. With OGGN, I definitely feel like there's been an increase in activity. Absolutely. I mean, and we've been having, the more virtual events we have, the busier I am with OGGN. So we've been having a lot of virtual, because I don't live in Houston, so I don't help with the in-person events really, but the virtual events, that's like all, me, Tim, Kaleh, Catherine. So anyways, yeah, I would say it's picked up a lot and it's been great. And I love the virtual events. I mean, I think that it's really offered value. And with this, like seeing, I was really impressed earlier with the young lady from Nigeria, I believe. Let's see, I cannot remember her name now. But it's just so interesting to get that international presence and to gather, you know, all these different people in the same place. So anyway, I'm all for the virtual events. I think it was great.
Yeah, Alex, you may not know this, and everybody else that's on this call, I know you don't know this, but do you know that we have sort of a partnership in Tanzania, and OGGN has a happy hour when times are normal in Tanzania? Did you know that?
I knew that we had a partnership there. I didn't realize they were having happy hour. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So we have had a young man who was in high school, actually not in high school. He dropped out of high school to support his family in Tanzania. And he reached out to me probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I've never met him in person. I've coached and mentored him over the years. And he started out with an email list that he monetized with the oil and gas conferences in East Africa. And he sees what we do and he copies it freely with my full permission. And so he started a happy hour, which he also is a profit item for him. But he did something to me that literally made my eyes water up. So in his village, there's one school, and that one school has 37 students from 5 to 20 there. And they had 2 textbooks, right? So he sent me a picture of him walking in with a box of textbooks. He took part of his proceeds, like we do with our happy hours, and went and bought textbooks for the school. And so he's giving back. So even though I've never met this young man, I've helped him, I've mentored him. Now he has a business that supports himself, his family, and his extended family, but he's taken some of that revenue and he's given back to his community. That's just the most wonderful thing.
Cool.
Awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah, so on our list is to pick up airfare for everybody and go to Tanzania and go join his happy hour as our local.
Well, now you know what I'm going to say next. I'm going to say I need pictures of these events next time. So I can post our social media, sir.
Hey, Clinton,
so when do we leave?
When do we leave? Hey, actually, since you brought that up, how do y'all each feel about getting on if I said we need to get on a plane Monday, how do y'all feel about that?
Depends to where.
I have my kids' entrance exam for kindergarten on Monday, so I can't make Monday, but you know the following Monday.
Would you feel
uncomfortable anywhere
getting on a plane full of people?
I wouldn't care.
I'm pretty comfortable at this point.
I would be okay with it. I think that there's enough fear in everybody else that risk takers like myself could go ahead and take the chance and be able to go do it. I mean, you know, long as my adult responsibilities of being a parent and stuff are kind of taken care of, and I got somebody to help out with the kids, then I wouldn't want to take the kids, but myself, I would probably do it.
Yeah, I have a professional acquaintance of mine that has some very high-end meetings that he needs to attend, and his company cleared them for air travel literally for next week, and he's not going to do it. He doesn't feel comfortable. And I have just the opposite reaction. I miss real people so much that I might pay extra to get on a plane full of people.
I'm supposed to travel on Monday to Birmingham. So that'll be my first plane in months. And this is my first summer ever that I don't have any international travel scheduled because I'm like an avid traveler. So it's really, I'm antsy. I'm antsy to get back out there.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours outside of Manhattan. So the Northeast is just considerably, less open at this point. However, I'm up the coast, kind of in a New England town where like my town is, we could go to the beach. We have little league started yesterday. So like those things, getting those things back is huge. So for me, I'm ready to get on a plane personally. So that's where I'm at personally. However, I definitely live in a region of the country that's going to move slower, and that's okay. That's where I live. And obviously New York went through something different. So.
Right.
I'm in Austin, and even here, my friend works for Google, and they've told them that they won't be coming back until like 2021. So they're doing remote. A lot of the tech companies are doing that full remote until they're saying at least 2021. I think maybe it's just kind of like to appease, current situation. It may change, but yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what the standard did. Also, Clinton, I loved that website. That was great. Really, really nice.
Did we lose Mark?
I think
so.
he's lost in cyberspace.
Vidor Locksmith takeover. Welcome to the real show. Oh, he's back. Never mind.
He is always super hyper aware of cybersecurity too. So that was just really on the mark.
No, it's been weird for me because I audit and do consulting for a living, and so trying to
I'm obviously having bandwidth issues.
Now trying to get into these remote audits and stuff, it's just it's odd. It is a completely different dynamic auditing someone staring across Zoom when you're used to just picking up on the little subtle body language to see if you're getting bullshitted or not.
That's
well,
true.
I think this is the time when things like this change. It really shows the people that can adapt the quickest and the people that are always ready and looking for change. The companies that have that ingrained into their business practices, into their company culture. I've been watching the Netflix way too much, or ESPN, but they've had the Michael Jordan series, Last Dance or whatever, and one of the comments on there was change is inevitable, change is constant, so we always have to be ready for it. And it's still one of those things that you see a lot of companies out there who still don't embrace that. And it's if you're in the oil and gas sector and you've been through a downturn and you weren't ready for this, then you've never really been through a downturn. This is your first one.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you don't have your finances in order, if you don't have all of your things in order when things are in an upswing for the downturn, then you're doing it wrong. And during the downturn, if you don't have everything ready and in order for the upswing, then you're doing it wrong again. And you're going to repeat the exact same mistakes that you did before. So for me, it's I've really enjoyed this process. I've really looked at it as okay, instead of all the normal adversity that I have, I get to be challenged with a whole new set of adversities. I get to write a whole new chapter in my life of okay, here were the things that we overcame when the cabin fever of 2020 happened. So it's been an amazing challenge. I'm really looking forward to what continues to come forward, what the new adversity is going to be. And I think companies Oxy, who's been on the hot seat, Chesapeake, who's been on the hot seat for everybody. Those CEOs, I'm envious of their position because of the amount of adversity that they get to have right now. Because if they come out of this, they're going to make movies about what they did.
Yeah, 100% agree. This is. I tell my son he's living through history. Now where it's going to go, I'm not quite sure yet. But this 2020 has been a historical year.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. We talk about that a lot with our kids and telling them someday you're going to be telling your kids about all of this stuff. And, they just don't realize it because they're just hey, well, we just kind of get to stay home and hang out a little bit more than normal.
Yeah. Really cool stuff. Y'all think we should just go ahead and wind this thing down? It's about 6 o'clock.
No, we need to go for 3 more hours. Until all of us are shit faced.
It's not even.
Sorry for cussing on your show, Mark, but
I'm pumping the coffee, so that'll take a little while for me.
So one of our future shows is literally called Oil and Gas After Hours, and it's required that the host drink because it's not live, right? So we can, if it gets bad, we can edit everything out. And I want to send somebody to all the bars and restaurants around the world. So Abu Dhabi, Houston, Calgary, where salespeople bring their clients to sign deals. And I want them to rate the food and rate the bartender, rate the service. And I want to create this directory. So if you've never been to Houston and you're coming in from Norway, you have a list of restaurants to bring your clients to. That's going to be a great show.
I'm just going to go ahead and nominate myself to be your host for that one, okay? I think we have found my perfect podcast.
I'm just putting my risk hat on at the moment and thinking liability.
Yeah, but Jeffrey, Warren is our in-house risk manager. So Warren will insure us whatever insurance we need to make sure we're protected. He will take care of it.
So what you do is you put Warren on the first show with his insurance adjuster, and that will set the tone and the pace for every other episode. You'll know where the bar is.
That's awesome.
That's funny. Well, guys, I have enjoyed it. I'm about to go downstairs and make my cocktail.
Thanks for jumping back on,
Later.
Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Hey, Clinton, I never got around to asking you a question. Have y'all seen an uptick in activity since this whole COVID-19 lockdown?
Yeah, we have, which is, it's, we focus on virtual on-demand talent. Like that's all we do. Right. So, try pitching that. We started in 2001, right? Top Coder was ambitious. So Top Coder was very painfully early, right? 2001, people were not ready to hear the concepts that you could get kind of the real enterprise level talent on your work securely. And in some ways we're still David, you said it earlier, like if you weren't ready for that downturn, then you're not ready for this one. We still have a lot of enterprises that just are not quite there yet mentally. However, this has really accelerated things where it's been obviously work from home and kind of work from anywhere, virtual teams, distributed teams, and the layers or the minutia, whatever you got to cut through to just get people to understand that it doesn't really matter if it's like an FTE, if it's an on-demand talent, if you're using it the right way and you're being efficient with the workforce, you could get a lot of work done and be super productive that way. So for us, we've just seen a lot of those barriers come down when people are like, I don't really care, I need talent. It's like, I need it. So what do you got? And let's get them on projects. And that's been a big opening for us and with a lot of great success. And it's been, like I said, we've kind of rushed into it now because so many people just couldn't get to their normal contractors and their FTEs were just all of a sudden waiting a week or so to get their, infrastructure, their VPN so they could work at home. So there was a vacuum there. We were able to step in and just provide a lot of companies instant access that they needed. So it's been good. And it's been, and for us, we've learned a lot too. Like we learned if we could kind of really throttle the thing the way we thought we could. We have a ton of talent out there, and there's still, of course, our platform. There's ways to get people on it faster and get them access and moving quicker. So we've had to do a lot of late nights, but that's okay. We were kind of ready and born for this moment. So it's been great.
Yeah. I've said this before, but I think the oil and gas industries could go through 10 years worth of maturity in the next 12 months. They have no choice. And to your point, companies are going, I have no choice but to look at the gig economy talent pool.
That's it exactly. We're seeing the same thing here with pretty much anyone. Is they don't necessarily have the resources for that full-time person that they may have had 2 or 3 years ago. And hell, you can get a lot better quality talent out there for that one specific project than you could ever get from hiring someone full-time and having them sit there and just waste away scrolling through LinkedIn and Facebook, just wasting time half the day, the truth be told. It's like I say, it's the same thing for us. Our auditors and consultants, none of them are full-time even for us. They may audit and work for someone else and we just pull them in when we need them.
Yeah, it's definitely the future. It's funny. So we have the CMO, CTO of National Oil, David Reed, just chatted saying he wants us to go for 3 more hours. We're not unless you're buying drinks, David Reed. We're not going
if you can sponsor the beers, I'll hang.
I'll buy all the virtual beers.
Well, what's funny, David, is when I first came up with this idea, I looked into the legalities and the logistics of me shipping alcohol to our listeners. So when we had a virtual happy hour, we could buy everybody their first drink. And you know what's funny? Some states it's totally legal. So from Texas to Louisiana, I have no liability shipping alcohol. But if I try to ship alcohol to New York, oh my God, So we shut it down. But it's I wish I could have done it. It would have been nice to have me buy drinks to the whole community.
That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Just one more reason to move to Texas. That's it.
If you can get some kind of machine that you send to all of the people and it only dispenses beer when they say a good comment or have a good response, and you're like, oh, you just earned yourself some beer.
Hey,
That's awesome.
How many people do we have actually still viewing this? Because I want to say something, but I don't want a whole bunch of people to hear it.
4 or 5. So
yeah,
us.
a couple more.
Now there is a time delay on that. So
So one of our future podcasts is going to be oil and gas veterans, right? It's something I take to heart very much. The oil and gas industry loves veterans.
That's a good concept.
I'm in negotiations, and I'm not going to say the name, but with one of the largest firearm manufacturers in the U.S. And part of our negotiations is that if they sponsor the show, I want to do a giveaway, right? Because that's what we do for a lot of our shows. We do a giveaway to drive people to a gated landing page. And as sort of as a joke, I said, can we give away one of your firearms every week? And they said, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. I will have the #1 podcast in the world if I get a gun each week on the podcast. So not there yet, but we're working on it.
That's awesome.
If you think shipping booze to New York's hard.
Well, so what's interesting about this, and I didn't know this, but in the U.S., the gun manufacturer does not do retail. They ship to a distributor who then ships to the academies. That distributor has all the legal risk. So that distributor has to make sure they follow all the rules of each state and get all the documents signed. But the manufacturer has no risk. So that's why they're so easy to do it. So if Kyle would win a gun on the show, the distributor would make sure
he would win.
Yeah, maybe so. And how cool would that be?
Oh, man, that would be. That'd be cool. That'd be really awesome.
I have been talking to somebody. I like, Mark says, sometimes you can't reveal all your sources. So I'd been talking to somebody. They'd reached out to me and said that they wanted to be able to, sponsor one of my shows, like a particular show where we're covering some concepts that were particular to their business. And we were kind of, throwing around some ideas. And I said, well, why don't we just give away a truck? Because he's got a company and they're having to get rid of some of the trucks because they had personnel that were using them for field trucks. And I was like, let's just give away one of those. And he was like, I don't know. I was like, come on. A used F-150 would just drive the traffic through the roof. I was like, come on. I was like, you don't have to give me any money. I'll just take the truck and then give it away. So
what kind of a great idea if you could go to a lot of those mid-sized service providers and pick up a piece of equipment that's they can't use anymore and give it away. And then so an operator would be the one to want to win that. And so then now you have a connection between the operator and the service company that would have never happened. That's not a bad idea for a show.
It's done in Calgary as a charity auction, actually.
So how does that work?
Well, so you're organizing an event of some kind, say, and you get the service companies whoever has the surplus equipment, they donate it as a charitable auction item, and then people go through you run it as a sort of a silent auction activity, and the highest bidder gets the goods, and the value all goes to charity.
And then the service company gets to write it off, take it off their books because they gave it to charity.
They got to write it off. They get the promotional visibility and good graces of the community for that. The charity gets the income, and the show attracts an audience. I mean,
I love the idea.
Win-win. It's win-win-win. Yeah, there's no loss. There's no downside to it other than the risk of the item being auctioned off and its inherent value. And as you know, field people are really particular about the gear. It might be free, but if it didn't come with a warranty or the manufacturer's documentation, they're not interested in it. But a truck would absolutely go.
Come on, Mark. Let's do something. Let's go find somebody and give away a truck.
I love the idea. I'm just unfortunately too busy right now.
Oh, you're too busy. You've been on a 4-hour podcast. Don't tell me you're too busy.
I love the idea, though.
That's pretty cool.
You got so many people working for you, you don't even know how many there are.
Well, you know what's interesting? No, you're right. You know what's interesting about that is that I'm now having business decisions being made, and they're good business decisions, but I'm not included in the conversation. And originally, it bothered me, and I had to.
Well, they figured out.
Well, I had to stop and step back.
Like, don't tell Mark.
No, I had to stop and step back and go. You know what? If we're going to grow as an organization, I can't have my fingers in everything. I have to hire good people.
Yeah.
And so, but personally, it's been a bit of a struggle for me to not be involved in every decision. It's interesting retrospectively.
Yeah, I think that's that's straight up trust. You said the word, right? So you got to get comfortable with letting go. That's that honestly that is one of the bigger cultural things when an enterprise takes on outside in talent. The concept of if it's managerial, you don't have to have them in a cubicle. You don't have to be able to look over their shoulder every single day. As long as the outputs are good and the communication technology is there, then you could actually put your heart into other stuff and more strategic stuff and let execution just happen. So it's actually, there's some cool parallels to our world there. Just
one of the things I love about what y'all do, Clinton, is that it's not so the one of the benefits of the gig economy is that not so much that you have access to all these different pieces of talent, which you do, but you have access to the best talent. So if I would hire, now we talked about data scientists, if I would hire a data scientist, that data scientist would do a good job for me because I'd hire the right person. They would work hard, but they probably don't have the time to stay current with everything that's going on, right? Whereas your pool of talent, those people pride themselves on staying current. So I literally can pull the top data scientists in the world on this project that I need an hour.
Client calling. Gotta go, guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right, see ya. And that's something that I don't think people realize is the fact that you get the best talent, not the cheapest, although the prices are better, but you get the best because everybody's so current in what they do.
Yep.
Yeah, and we do thank you for we don't sell on price because we don't look at ourselves as cheap. We look at ourselves as like super valuable. And like in the data science world specifically, it's hard to source talent. And the way that we structure our work is very often we're running challenges and competitions. So you're not just sourcing an individual, you're getting a superset of maybe 20 or 25 data scientists going at something like a really hard challenge. We're talking computer vision, ML, deep learning, just some of these, brilliant minds who just love challenges. They love hard stuff. And when you can serve it up to them with the path to monetize, to say they eat it up is an understatement. They love that kind of work. And then, the customer gets the benefit of the outputs. And it's a really just, I think it's actually a healthy way to procure greatness is what it boils down to. But you're right. It's, and that's the thing is like, listen, we are not anti full-time employees. Like, heck, I'm a full-time employee. We are just about the augmentation. It's not like don't hire and don't grow your teams. I think the dirty little secret for us in 20 years is that teams, enterprises that take us on and scale us, those managers and VPs, they grow. Their pools of FTEs expand dramatically because their productivity goes through the roof. Mm-hmm. So they're doing more and doing more and doing more. So guess what? They get more budget. They get more capital. And then they use Top Coder for some of it. And they grow their FTEs as they have to. And it's just this balance of just sheer like executional horsepower, which I think just, again, it's about letting go. It's not like you just don't have to have all those people in your four walls and call them employees to be successful with them. And in fact, you're probably better off not, from a scale perspective.
I couldn't agree more. I come from the IT world now. Granted, I got the ISO and OSHA stuff up, above me there. And it's kind of the world I'm living in these days. But man, I've got 20 years in IT as well. And it's impossible for any single person to stay abreast of enough issues with IT. You just simply can't. You can't be up to date enough with enough areas. And especially when you've got a project you only need some help with for this one little piece of it, just to get across that next hump. You could spend 6 weeks trying to learn it and half-ass it yourself, or bring someone in to get it done in a few days. It's silly to try to expect your folks to know everything about everything. And hell, I see the same thing with the quality and health and safety side of stuff now, especially as we get into so many of these other compliance areas, because you're talking about environmental, health, safety, quality, medical devices. Like, while the top level structure of all of those standards is the same, the minutia of just limitless stuff you have to know about the individual industry, no one person's ever going to know enough. And, like, we've been trying to work with an environmental company here in Houston. They used to try to do the management consultation portion. They finally, before the COVID shutdown hit, they had to let their full-time consultant go because it just wasn't enough work for him. And so that's kind of what we're looking to try to fill the void, is when they have those opportunities, we're their go-to folks for it.
Hey, gentlemen, I just got a ping from my own team. And it's basically saying, I want to upload this damn thing to YouTube and send out tonight if possible. Can y'all please stop? and that's fair, right? So let's go ahead and sign off so my team doesn't have to stay up till 10 o'clock, because I'm starting to get really philosophical in a minute, and this could go on for hours.
Well, Mark, I appreciate everything you've done with this. I thank you for having us on here. And man, I just can't tell you tell you thanks enough for all that you've done over the last few years for us.
No, appreciate you joining. We're gonna do more of this sort of stuff. It's y'all are part of the family, and we're gonna do more stuff together. And just thank you for all of y'all for joining.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's get out of here.
My pleasure.
Thanks again, Mark.
Cheers.
Bye. Thanks, Mark.
Bye.